Chapter 55-60. Who's that kid? How can he be so strong? The experts who were injured by Huang Fuqing Tian in the distance were very puzzled. Most of them were foreign cultivators. There were even a few saints among them, but they were still defeated by Huang Fuqing Tian. Lin Feng defeated Huang Fuqing Tian so easily. It was a bit abnormal. Lin Feng was too young. How could he have such extraordinary strength at such a young age? Even if he started cultivating in his mother's womb, he couldn't be so strong. But all of this happened in front of them, so they couldn't help but believe it. A group of people wanted to know who Lin Feng was, but no one knew Lin Feng. Don't be complacent too early. I have a way to kill you. Huang Fuqing Tian roared in anger. Huang Fuqing Tian continuously changed his hand seals. Whoosh! The sky-splitting axe flew out quickly and landed in Huang Fuqing Tian's hand. The sky-splitting axe was an ancient weapon-level treasure. Huang Fuqing Tian's confidence skyrocketed after he grasped it. Die! Huang Fuqing Tian shouted coldly and jumped out, chopping at Lin Feng with the axe. Even the void was shattered by the impact. Terrifying, terrifying, terrifying. It was indeed a treasure passed down by Pangu. However, Lin Feng wasn't afraid at all. Lin Feng had more than one ancient weapon-level treasure. There was also the epic war spear, which was an ancient weapon-level treasure. Lin Feng planned to collect 9 ancient weapon-level treasures to form a few ultimate killing formations recorded in the stone scripture. These ultimate killing formations were special because they were directly imprinted with formation runes on the ancient weapons. The 9 ancient weapon-level treasures could be connected through the ultimate killing formation. Their power skyrocketed. When the time came, it would be like slaying gods and slaying Buddhas. Epic spear art, sky-splitting spear! Lin Feng shouted coldly and rushed out with the epic war spear in his hand. The epic war spear in his hand collided with the sky-splitting axe in Huang Fuqing Tian's hand. Although the power of the sky-splitting axe was terrifying enough, Huang Fuqing Tian couldn't release the power of the sky-splitting axe. The reason for this was that Huang Fuqing Tian had just used the heaven-splitting axe. One had to know. The epical war spear was a supreme treasure on the same level as the sky-carving axe. Moreover, it was a supreme treasure passed down from Lin Feng's ancestors. After obtaining the epical war spear, Lin Feng spent a long time familiarizing himself with it. Huang Fuqing Tian had obtained something left behind by Pangu, not even his ancestor. It would be more difficult for him to adapt to it. Therefore, how could Huang Fuqing Tian display the power of the heaven-splitting axe? Lin Feng's situation was completely different. He could now wield the epical war spear as he wished. Moreover, he had the epical spear technique to complement the epical war spear. The power of the epic war spear was too terrifying. When the two sides collided, the heaven-opening axe in Huang Fuqing Tian's hand was directly sent flying by Lin Feng. Not good. Huang Fuqing Tian's expression changed greatly. He wanted to retreat, but at that moment, Lin Feng had already caught up to him. Lin Feng's epical war spear pierced towards Huang Fuqing Tian's body. Huang Fuqing Tian didn't have time to dodge. With a piercing sound, Lin Feng's epical war spear pierced through Huang Fuqing Tian's chest. Ah! Huang Fuqing Tian screamed in pain. Why is this happening? I, Huang Fuqing Tian, have been a peerless genius since I was a child. I, Huang Fuqing Tian, have never been defeated. Until I met you. Are you my nemesis? Huang Fuqing Tian's eyes were filled with hatred. He glared at Lin Feng. You must have heard of the saying, those who commit injustice are doomed to destruction, right? You only have yourself to blame for the current situation. You can't blame anyone else. Lin Feng said indifferently. I brought this upon myself? Ha ha ha, I was powerful back then, so I could do whatever I wanted. This is how the world works. The biggest mistake I made back then was agreeing to your 10-year agreement. I should have killed you immediately. If I had killed you back then, none of this would have happened. Huang Fuqing Tian said furiously. He was unwilling, truly unwilling. Looking back on his life, how glorious was it? However, until he lost to Lin Feng in a life-and-death battle. There was a turning point in his life. Although he had returned, he had been blinded by hatred. Huang Fuqingtian's motivation to live was to kill Lin Feng. Then he would take revenge. Many years passed. He thought that he could kill Lin Feng, but the reality was so cruel. It turned out that what he thought was actually a joke. Huang Fuqingtian couldn't accept it. He didn't want to die. However, today, they were strangers. The soul reconstruction technique could only be used once in a lifetime. This time, he would die. Huang Fuqingtian knew that he would be doomed eternally. However, he couldn't kill Lin Feng. He really hated it. Said Lin Feng indifferently. In life, you have to look forward, not backward. Don't bully a young man because he's poor. Therefore, Huang Fuqingtian, you're a failure. You can go to hell now. Lin Feng held the battle spear with one hand and suddenly shook. Bang! Huang Fuqingtian's body exploded. After Huang Fuqingtian's body exploded, a resentful voice rang out. I sacrifice myself. I beg Pangu the Immortal to avenge me. That voice turned out to be Huang Fuqingtian's. When the voice faded away, Huang Fuqingtian's exploded flesh and blood burned fiercely. In an instant, it turned into a strange kind of energy. Then the energy. It quickly gathered into the altar. Rumble! 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 The altar began to shake violently. Before Huang Fuqingtian died, he sacrificed himself. Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. He quickly put away the 4 things left by Pangu. Then he rushed down the mountain. Crack! Crack! However, Lin Feng didn't run far before the altar cracked. A beam of divine light rose into the air. In the divine light, a blood-red figure floated. The blood-red figure seemed to be the existence summoned by Huang Fuqingtian after he sacrificed himself. The blood-red figure contained an extremely evil aura. It's an evil will left by Pangu. After absorbing Huang Fuqingtian's flesh and blood, it turned into a blood-red incarnation. Someone exclaimed. The rest of the people's expressions changed greatly. The blood-red Pangu was really terrifying. Its aura was so strong that it shocked people. You killed my successor. You should die. The blood-red Pangu looked coldly at Lin Feng, his voice containing monstrous killing intent. He jumped up and quickly charged at Lin Feng. Chapter 5561 F***K, this guy is terrifying. Lin Feng pulled a long face. Blood-red Pangu was too strong. He couldn't escape. Since it was that way, he had to fight. Lin Feng wasn't afraid of blood-red Pangu. Lin Feng took out the Phoenix Shield and activated the ruler's armor. Lin Feng also activated the ruler's armor. At the same time, the Golden Dwarf, the Magic Lotus, the Stone Golem clone, the Saint Bone, and the ruler's armor were all mobilized. The energy poured into Lin Feng's body. After receiving the energy, Lin Feng immediately felt extremely comfortable. It was a comfortable feeling he had never felt before. Fuck! Lin Feng held the Epic War Spear in one hand and attacked the Bloody Pangu. This boy is really tough. The Bloody Pangu is so strong, but he wants to fight it head-on. Someone said in surprise. He's really strong, and he has a lot of treasures. It's hard to say who will win. Someone else said. Huang Fuqingtian sacrificed himself to summon the Bloody Pangu. It's really too strong. It's too difficult to deal with such an existence. Someone else said. That's right. That's why it's not easy to deal with the Bloody Pangu. If you're not careful, you can die, said an old cultivator. It wasn't easy to deal with the Bloody Pangu. Everyone knew that. They also wanted to see if Lin Feng had a way to deal with the Bloody Pangu. In fact, many people hoped that Lin Feng would be killed by the Bloody Pangu. After all, the Bloody Pangu wasn't a real body of flesh and blood. After killing Lin Feng, it might disappear. If the Bloody Pangu killed Lin Feng, Lin Feng's treasures, the 4 items left by the Bloody Pangu, would become ownerless. Wouldn't it be too easy for them? Bang! At this moment, Lin Feng and Crimson Pangu collided fiercely. Crimson Pangu's attack landed on the Phoenix Shield. A terrifying strength bombarded Lin Feng and sent him flying. The Phoenix Shield and Dominator's armor deflected most of the force, but the remaining force still caused Lin Feng's face to turn as pale as paper. Fortunately, Lin Feng's cultivation was strong enough. Otherwise, it would be hard to say what would have happened. What a monster! Lin Feng could not help but sigh. At this moment, the blood-colored Pangu charged towards Lin Feng once more. This kind of head-on confrontation was really too disadvantageous for Lin Feng. Lin Feng was very clear about this. Therefore, he had to think of another way. It would be great if he could break the blood-colored Pangu's unstoppable momentum. Lin Feng thought of the art of curses. Perhaps he could use the art of curses to break the blood-colored Pangu's unstoppable momentum. After thinking about this, Lin Feng hurriedly used the art of curses. However, the blood-colored Pangu was stronger, and its resistance was not something ordinary cultivators could compare to. Therefore, it was not easy to use the art of curses to hurt the blood-colored Pangu. The blood-colored Pangu charged towards Lin Feng once more. A terrifying attack condensed and continued to blast towards Lin Feng. Bang! Accompanied by the sound of a violent collision, Lin Feng was sent flying for the second time. Wah! Lin Feng could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Lin Feng was really depressed. The blood-colored Pangu was really too awesome. He really wanted to stomp it to death. But he still had to use the art of curses to deal with it. The blood-colored Pangu's attacks were getting fiercer and fiercer. Lin Feng was being suppressed too much. That kid might really be killed. That's a good thing. If that kid is killed, all the treasures will be ours. Some cultivators were communicating with each other using their divine senses. Die! The blood-colored Pangu attacked again, its eyes flashing with a dense killing intent. The blood-colored Pangu's aura soared to the sky. Perhaps in the blood-colored Pangu's opinion, Lin Feng would be completely defeated this time. But at that moment, pooh! The sound of flesh being pierced rang out. A bloody hole had appeared on the blood-colored Pangu's chest. After circulating the art of curses over 100 times, Lin Feng finally succeeded. Lin Feng was really depressed. Against others, he might have succeeded after circulating the art of curses a few times. But against the blood-colored Pangu, he had to circulate it over 100 times. Fortunately, the result was not bad. After the blood-colored Pangu's body was injured, its blood qi was dispersing rapidly. After all, it wasn't made of flesh and blood. Once its body was injured, it would be seriously injured. Lin Feng's eyes suddenly lit up. This was a great opportunity to kill the blood-colored Pangu. He quickly rushed forward. Then, he stabbed his spear at the blood-colored Pangu. Kid, you're quite strong. Even I was tricked by you. But it's useless. You're still going to die today. Because even an 8th level Saint Realm cultivator would die in my hands, let alone someone like you. The blood-colored Pangu sneered and grabbed Lin Feng's epic war spear. Lin Feng's expression was cold. If you weren't injured, I wouldn't have been able to do anything to you. But you're injured, and your fighting strength has decreased greatly. I can definitely kill you. As soon as he finished speaking, the Book of the Dead flew out. The spirits inside the Book of the Dead didn't come out. Although they didn't come out, their strength was gathered together. Under Yan's lead, they activated the Book of the Dead. The Book of the Dead emitted a powerful qi of the dead. It was very gloomy and terrifying. The countless runes on the Book of the Dead seemed to come alive. They kept twisting and turning. The Book of the Dead violently flew towards the blood-colored Pangu. Bang! The Book of the Dead hit the blood-colored Pangu, and the blood-colored Pangu was sent flying. Lin Feng rushed forward and swept his spear at the blood-colored Pangu. His spear was so powerful that it could even shatter the void. The blood-colored Pangu reacted extremely quickly. He stretched out his hand to block Lin Feng's spear. But at that moment, the blood-colored Pangu couldn't block the Book of the Dead's attack. The Book of the Dead attacked the blood-colored Pangu again. Bang! The blood-colored Pangu's body exploded. Lin Feng took out heaven fire and used it to envelop the blood-colored Pangu's evil will. Let me out! That evil thought began to struggle and roar continuously. But Lin Feng didn't pay any attention to it. Lin Feng burned the evil thoughts of the bloody Pangu into ashes with his heavenly fire. When the others saw this, they couldn't help but shiver. Lin Feng was really too terrifying. He made them tremble with fear. Lin Feng took the Book of the Dead. He ignored the others and quickly flew down the mountain. Chapter 55-62. Fortunately, that kid didn't attack us. Otherwise, we'd be dead. Yeah, that kid is really terrifying. I wonder where he came from. Many people started to discuss. However, Lin Feng couldn't hear their discussion anymore. Lin Feng left Pangu Mountain without a hitch. As for the young woman, Lin Feng didn't see her. He wondered if she had left. He had obtained Pangu's orthodoxy. He had also killed his great enemy, Huangfu Qintian. Lin Feng was in a good mood. Lin Feng planned to digest the opportunities he had obtained. Lin Feng flew out of Pangu Mystic Domain. On the way, he saw the masked woman. He didn't know what she was looking for, but it was obvious that she wasn't after the things left behind by Pangu. It was normal for there to be other things in Pangu Mystic Domain. The masked woman's identity was a mystery, but Lin Feng wasn't interested in finding out her identity. After flying out of Pangu Mystic Domain, Lin Feng left the area where Pangu Mystic Domain was located. He found an isolated island. Then, he opened up a cave residence on the island and entered it. Lin Feng took out the storage rings of the Sky Region's Sage King and Huangfu Qintian. He wanted to see what was in their rings. After all, they both had extraordinary backgrounds. Especially the Sky Region's Sage King, who was so powerful. Perhaps there were many extraordinary things in there. Lin Feng probed Huangfu Qintian's storage ring with his divine will. Lin Feng searched for a while and found that there were many good things in Huangfu Qintian's storage ring. There were all kinds of high-grade immortal stones piled up like mountains. Apart from that, there were over 100 immortal artifacts as well. There were all kinds of natural treasures, immortal iron, and immortal stones. Huangfu Qintian's luck was really strong these years. Otherwise, he wouldn't have obtained so many good things. Unfortunately, although there were many good things, there weren't many that could really pique Lin Feng's interest. There wasn't a single treasure that could make Lin Feng excited. The main reason was that Lin Feng's standards were too high. In other people's eyes, some things were extremely rare and precious, but in Lin Feng's eyes, they were extremely ordinary. Lin Feng took Huangfu Qintian's storage ring. Then, he started to check the storage ring of the Sky Region's Sage King. That bastard was a sage from Kunlun Universe. Lin Feng inspected the ring with his godly awareness. There were all sorts of things in it, there were enough things. Lin Feng was mainly looking for important treasures. Lin Feng had indeed seen something special. Lin Feng took it out. It was a painting. It was a painting of a man. The man was standing in the forest with his back to the world. Who is this? Lin Feng felt that the painting was extraordinary. The painting wasn't a magic treasure. However, the painting gave people a very extraordinary feeling. The main reason was that the man in the painting who had his back facing the world was too extraordinary. The man gave people a very special feeling. But Lin Feng couldn't tell what it was. Lin Feng tried to use his godly awareness to inspect the painting. But when Lin Feng's mind came into contact with the painting, Lin Feng's mind was devoured. Strange. It was really strange. This painting could actually devour divine will. Lin Feng tried to refine it with his blood. Lin Feng's blood was absorbed by the painting. But strangely, Lin Feng couldn't refine the painting with his blood. The painting hid many secrets. But it couldn't be explored. Lin Feng could only keep the painting. He would find a way to explore the secrets of the painting in the future. Lin Feng also kept the storage ring of the Sky Region's Sage King. Then, Lin Feng took out the 4 things left behind by Pangu. Lin Feng successfully refined the sky-splitting axe. A smile appeared on his face. After refining an ancient weapon-grade treasure, his mood became much better. Then, Lin Feng looked at the remaining 3 things. Chapter 5563. The remaining 3 items were the ancient bluestone book, the black jade token, and the crystal bead. Lin Feng suspected that the ancient bluestone book recorded the Pangu Immortal Sutra. In fact, Lin Feng had already cultivated 14 types of Immortal Sutras. If he could obtain the Pangu Immortal Sutra, he would have 15 types of Immortal Sutras. Why was Lin Feng so powerful? Let's see how many 3,000 great Tao, top-notch divine abilities, and ancient Immortal Sutras Lin Feng cultivated. If Lin Feng's combat strength wasn't strong, then it would be strange. Lin Feng's spiritual will invaded the ancient bluestone book. After carefully searching, Lin Feng's face immediately revealed a shocked expression. The ancient bluestone book recorded the Pangu Immortal Sutra. What surprised Lin Feng wasn't just the Pangu Immortal Sutra, but the last paragraph of the Pangu Immortal Sutra. The more one wanted to transcend, the first thing one had to do was recultivate. These 8 words seemed to record the method of transcendence. If one wanted to transcend, one had to cultivate again? Lin Feng suddenly thought of his father. He had recultivated many times, which was why he was so heaven-defying. His father walked the path of recultivation, and even the core divine ability that his father created was a recultivation-type immortal technique. Could it be for the final transcendence? Lin Feng's expression became uncertain. The sentence recorded at the end of the Pangu Immortal Sutra pointed out a cultivation path. However, there was no specific method. The path of recultivation isn't suitable for me. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. If he broke through to the peak of the sage realm and wanted to complete transcendence, Lin Feng still felt that the path of recultivation wasn't suitable for him. Lin Feng didn't want to sever his cultivation and recultivate. Perhaps he could find another path to complete his self-transcendence. However, Lin Feng was only at the Tao Immortal Realm now, so he didn't seem to be in a hurry to consider this matter. He would take it one step at a time. Lin Feng memorized the contents of the Pangu Immortal Sutra in his mind. Lin Feng was in a rather good mood now that he had finally obtained the 15th Immortal Scripture. After putting away the ancient book, Lin Feng took out the black jade token. He carefully observed the black jade token and found that there were countless mysterious runes on it. He didn't know what this black jade token was. Lin Feng's spiritual sense invaded the black jade token. Then, Lin Feng felt his spiritual sense being pulled into a mysterious world. That mysterious world was unimaginably ancient, and in the depths of that mysterious world, there was an unimaginably huge dragon that was chained up in chains. That giant dragon was on the verge of death. Ancestral dragon. Lin Feng's face revealed a shocked expression, although he had never seen the ancestor dragon before. However, Lin Feng was certain that the dragon that was locked up was the progenitor dragon. In this epoch, only 3 progenitor dragons were born. The progenitor dragons were more powerful than the true dragons. They were equivalent to the true dragon's ancestors. Lin Feng had always thought that the 3 progenitor dragons had fallen. He didn't expect to see such a scene in the jade token. Who's spying on this place? Suddenly, a cold voice was heard. Then, a pair of blood-red eyes appeared in the sky. Those blood-red eyes looked at Lin Feng. When Lin Feng saw those blood-red eyes, he felt like he was about to fall into an endless abyss. Roar! At that moment, the progenitor dragon's roar came from the depths. Lin Feng was awakened. His spiritual sense quickly retreated from that world. Lin Feng broke out in cold sweat. That's too scary. Lin Feng's expression was solemn. He had almost met with disaster just now. Moreover, he had almost met with disaster just by sensing that mysterious world with the jade token. That world, where was it? The progenitor dragons were imprisoned in that world. What was going on? Lin Feng's expression was uncertain. Back then, did Pangu want to save the progenitor dragons? Even he couldn't do it. In the end, he was reincarnated into an even more powerful existence. That was the Primeval Lord of Heaven. Why didn't the Primeval Lord of Heaven take these things away? Could it be that he wanted to sever his ties with the mortal world? Perhaps it was possible. Lin Feng put the black jade token away for the time being. Sometimes, without enough power, there were some things that couldn't be done even if one wanted to. For example, exploring the place where the progenitor dragons were imprisoned. This was something that Lin Feng wanted to do but couldn't do. He could only think about it when he was stronger in the future. Lin Feng looked at the last item. The crystal bead. He didn't know what it was. Lin Feng studied it carefully. He realized that there seemed to be something sealed in the crystal bead. This made Lin Feng extremely surprised. His spiritual sense came into contact with the crystal bead. Soon, Lin Feng sensed a lot of information. His face revealed a surprised expression. The thing sealed in the crystal bead was actually Pangu's mark. This was something that Pangu left behind for his successor. Before Pangu's corpse was decomposed, he sealed part of his cultivation in the mark. Pangu's mark completed a transformation over the long years. For example, now, Pangu's mark was no longer as simple as an ordinary mark. Pangu's mark could continuously improve as its owner's cultivation increased. It would become stronger and stronger. However, the prerequisite was that someone could refine Pangu's mark. If Pangu's mark was taken out, if a cultivator failed to refine it, Pangu's mark would eventually dissipate. Refining Pangu's mark was definitely an extremely difficult thing. There was a high chance that a cultivator wouldn't be able to withstand the violent power of Pangu's mark and would directly explode and die. However, this was nothing to Lin Feng. If he couldn't even refine Pangu's mark, Lin Feng would have lived in vain all these years. Lin Feng broke the crystal bead and began to refine the Pangu's mark inside. The power of Pangu's mark was indeed extremely violent. It even wanted to destroy Lin Feng's body. However, Pangu's mark couldn't do that. In the end, Lin Feng managed to refine Pangu's mark. Lin Feng's face lit up with joy. The golden figurine. The sacred bone. The ruler's armor. The magic lotus. The stone golem clone. All of them could provide Lin Feng with powerful fighting strength. Now that he had Pangu's mark, Lin Feng's fighting strength had increased even more. This was naturally a good thing. Lin Feng immediately came out of seclusion. The Xianyuan ancient starship flew above the sea. Lin Feng cultivated inside the Xianyuan ancient starship. He was comprehending the Pangu immortal scripture. 5 days later, a woman flew over from afar and fell on Lin Feng's Xianyuan ancient starship. Lin Feng woke up and walked out. He came to the side of the unconscious woman and helped her up. To Lin Feng's surprise, this woman turned out to be the masked woman from before. The masked woman seemed to have sensed something. She opened her eyes and slammed her palm towards Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng reacted quickly and grabbed her wrist. Chapter 55-64. Calm down, Lin Feng said. It's you. When the masked woman saw Lin Feng, she was astonished. But in the next moment, she involuntarily coughed up a mouthful of blood. Her face turned deathly pale, and she fell into Lin Feng's arms, unconscious. When Lin Feng saw the unconscious masked woman, he couldn't help but frown. The woman's cultivation was terrifying, and she had a powerful treasure to protect her. She had entered the Panga's secret dimension to search for something, and now she was seriously injured. Had she been injured by someone? Lin Feng couldn't figure it out. Sometimes there were things that didn't need to be understood. Lin Feng carried the woman into the cabin. Lin Feng naturally knew that helping the woman might bring him some trouble, but Lin Feng didn't care. The masked woman had helped him before, and she was quite kind-hearted. He couldn't just stand by and watch her die, right? The Xianyuan ancient starship continued flying above the sea. The night was dark, and a gloomy aura filled the air. Asterisk whoosh whoosh whoosh. Asterisk black chi surged and flew towards the Xianyuan ancient starship from all directions. Lin Feng didn't know what kind of existence was hiding in the black chi, but he could see the black chi flying towards him from outside. Because of that, the Xianyuan ancient starship stopped. As the saying went, those who came didn't come with good intentions. The other party had arrived. Lin Feng just had to deal with it. A cold voice came from the darkness. Boy, hand her over, and we can spare your life, Lin Feng said indifferently. The aura of the netherworld. Are you all from the netherworld? You're quite experienced and knowledgeable. You can actually recognize us at a glance. Since you know who we are, you should cooperate with us honestly. The netherworld is a colossus, and I'm sure you don't want to provoke them, said the existence with a sneer. You're right. Which force are you from the netherworld? Asked Lin Feng. You're asking too many questions. It's best not to ask things you shouldn't ask, the existence in the darkness said coldly. Hee hee. Lin Feng coldly laughed as he said, You came here to ask for someone, yet you told me not to ask anything. How laughable. This woman is now under my protection. As for you, you can scram. What did you say? Brat, are you courting death? Cold voices suddenly sounded. It was obvious that many people were infuriated by Lin Feng's words. Lin Feng asked, You don't understand human language? You're courting death. Streams of black chi quickly flew towards the ancient starship Xianyuan. Namo Amitba. Suddenly, Lin Feng put his palms together, looking solemn. Meanwhile, an ancient Buddha appeared in the void. That ancient Buddha also put his palms together. Dazzling Buddha light formed. It illuminated the world. Dark night. In an instant, it was as bright as day. When the Buddha's light shone down, sizzling sounds of burning could be heard. Damn it, this brat is proficient in Buddhist techniques. Retreat! The nether realm cultivators shouted in deep voices. Hiss! Suddenly, the ancient Buddha opened his mouth. A terrifying sound wave spread out. This was the swastika mantra of the six-syllable mantra. Lin Feng used the ancient Buddha's mouth to activate it. The swastika mantra was ranked first among the six-syllable mantras, so its power was naturally terrifying. One had to know that countless Buddhist techniques were comprehended from the six-syllable mantras. Therefore, the six-syllable mantra was an unimaginably terrifying technique. It was even more effective against the underworld cultivators. It's the six-syllable mantra. Some of the underworld cultivators shouted in fear. Their cultivation was tyrannical, and they were underworld cultivators. Their life characteristics were relatively unique, so many techniques couldn't harm them. However, they were greatly restrained by Taoist and Buddhist techniques. If they encountered Taoist and Buddhist techniques, it would be very troublesome. The six-syllable mantra was one of the most terrifying Buddhist techniques. It was naturally very effective against the underworld cultivators. Bang, 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 accompanied by the sound of bodies exploding, the underworld cultivators' bodies directly exploded, and they died on the spot. The remaining few stronger underworld cultivators escaped, but they didn't dare to stay. They escaped extremely quickly and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. The next day, the veiled woman opened her eyes and found herself lying on a bed. Thinking about what happened yesterday, she couldn't help but feel slightly shocked. She quickly checked her body. She knew how attractive she was to men. Although Lin Feng didn't look like a bad person, he couldn't control himself. Who knew if she wouldn't be able to control herself, and would do something to him? What if she was taken advantage of because of this? If he took advantage of her, she wouldn't be able to cry even if she wanted to. Fortunately, the veiled woman didn't find anything special. She even found that the veil on her face was still on. After washing up and putting on a clean veil, the veiled woman walked out. When she came out, she saw the young cultivator standing on the deck overlooking the sea. The veiled woman walked out and bowed to Lin Feng, saying, "Thank you for saving me." Lin Feng said, "Didn't you help me before?" "We don't owe each other anything." The veiled woman said, "My name is Bai Suxin." "What's your name?" "I'm Lin Feng." "Sin Realm's master Lin Feng?" Bai Suxin asked uncertainly. She had naturally heard of Sin Realm's master, but in Bai Suxin's opinion, there should be a huge difference in cultivation between Sin Realm's master and this human young master. She couldn't be sure. Lin Feng said, "That's me. I never thought that I would meet the famous Sin Realm's master here. Moreover, he's so strong. I heard that before Huang Fuqin Tian obtained Pangu's orthodoxy, he was killed by his enemy. It seems like you're the one who killed Huang Fuqin Tian and obtained Pangu's orthodoxy. Bai Suxin said. Lin Feng said, I have to say that you're really smart. However, it's better for women to be a little stupid. Bai Suxin didn't deny it. She then said, I want to ask you for a favor. I've already repaid the favor you owe me, and I don't want to get involved in the Netherworld's affairs. Lin Feng said. Bai Suxin said, If you can help me, I can give you an Immortal Sutra's inheritance. Lin Feng was surprised. He then said, Deal. Bai Suxin revealed a smile. Lin Feng asked, What's the Immortal Sutra's inheritance? The Necromancer's scripture. Bai Suxin said. Chapter 5565. When Lin Feng heard the words, Death Scripture, a surprised expression appeared on his face. The Death Scripture was an immortal-level inheritance that the people of Death Island in the Deathly Silent Sea had cultivated. Lin Feng remembered that the island had been completely destroyed, yet this woman knew about the Death Scripture. It was truly shocking. Lin Feng looked at Bai Suxin and said, So, you're the successor of the Death Island? This means that some people were lucky enough to escape from the islands of the dead souls. Yes. Bai Suxin did not refute and directly admitted it. This surprised Lin Feng. It seemed that Bai Suxin was not a simple woman. If it were someone else, they would not have admitted their identity so openly. Lin Feng knew a little about the Death Island, but he did not know much about it. He only knew that the people of the Death Island had obtained something, and news of it had been leaked. They had been besieged by many forces, and in the end, the Death Island had been destroyed. The higher-ups of the Death Island had cursed the island before they died. They said that all cultivators who entered the Deathly Silent Sea would die miserably. In Lin Feng's opinion, this legend was probably nonsense. What do you want me to do for you? Lin Feng asked. Follow me to the Death Island, Bai Suxin said. Wasn't the Death Island already destroyed? Lin Feng asked, puzzled. Bai Suxin said, Back then, the Dead Soul Island actually sank to the bottom of the sea. However, no one knows where it sank because those people who climbed onto the Dead Soul Island were also trapped on the Dead Soul Island. In the end, they sank together. However, there are some tokens that can lead cultivators to the Death Sea region, and I found such a token. Lin Feng said, You went to the Panga's secret dimension to look for this token? Yes. Bai Suxin nodded. Asked Lin Feng. The Pangu mysterious world appeared before the Dead Souls Island. How could the talisman be in the Pangu mysterious world? Bai Suxin said. Actually, that keepsake was found by a senior of my clan. However, that senior entered the Pangu mystery dimension and died there, so the keepsake was lost. I see. Lin Feng nodded. What about the Netherworld cultivators? What's up with them? Lin Feng asked. Bai Suxin said. They're also looking for the token. Lin Feng said. So you've been targeted by them? Bai Suxin replied. I obtained the keepsake one step ahead of them and was attacked by them. Asked Lin Feng. Back in the days, what did you obtain on the Dead Souls Island? Why did so many influential groups covet it? Now, even the Netherworld cultivators have gotten wind of it and are eyeing it covetously. I'm really curious. Bai Suxin said. To be honest, I really don't know what it is. The only thing I'm sure of is that it's still on the Death Island. Let's go to the Death Island and search around to see if we can find it. If we can, we'll know when the time comes. Lin Feng said. Since I've agreed to explore the Death Island with you, can you teach me the Death Scripture now? Bai Suxin said. Of course, there's no problem with teaching you the Death Scripture, but the Death Scripture I have is only an incomplete one. The complete Death Scripture is also on the island. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. Bai Suxin said, I'm telling you the truth. I'm not lying to you. Lin Feng nodded. He was quite a good judge of character, and he felt that Bai Suxin shouldn't be lying to him. Said Lin Feng. First, give me the incomplete version of the Death Scripture. I want to see how mysterious it is. I hope I'll find the complete version on Death Island, said Lin Feng. Sure, Bai Suxin said. Bai Suxin said as she took out a jade tube. Then, she imprinted the death scripture inside the jade tube. Lin Feng took the jade tube from Bai Suxin. Where are we going now? Lin Feng asked. Bai Suxin said. To the west. Lin Feng nodded. Then, he changed the direction of the ancient starship Xianyuan. The ancient starship Xianyuan quickly flew toward the west. The two of them didn't stay outside. Bai Suxin's injuries hadn't recovered yet, so she went back to recuperate. As for Lin Feng, he went to comprehend the death scripture. 2 days later, Lin Feng discovered that the seawater had turned blood red. It was extremely strange. However, when Lin Feng took a closer look, he discovered that the seawater had returned to normal. It was really strange. Bai Suxin walked out and said, We should be arriving soon. Lin Feng asked, Is this the place where the Death Island sank? Bai Suxin nodded and said, It should be this area. You should have noticed that something was wrong earlier, right? Yes. Lin Feng replied. The seawater is actually a normal color, but we sometimes discover that it's actually blood red. Actually, it's not blood red. It's only because our minds are affected. Bai Suxin said. That's right. You're saying that there's a powerful magnetic field here? Lin Feng asked. That should be the case. We should be able to discover it soon. Bai Suxin said. Lin Feng was right. It didn't take long for Lin Feng to discover that something was amiss. They were lost in the sea. This was because the magnetic field here was too powerful, and it severely affected the Xuanyuan's positioning. Once a cultivator got lost, it would be very frightening. If they were trapped here without being able to leave, they might even die. Therefore, regardless of whether it was the starry sky world or the sea world, encountering a magnetic field would be very troublesome. Lin Feng looked at Bai Suxin and asked, Where's your keepsake? You can take it out now. Bai Suxin nodded and took out the keepsake she had obtained earlier. The keepsake she had obtained was actually a comb. Moreover, it was a comb made of white jade rhinoceros horn. When she saw Lin Feng's astonished expression, Bai Suxin smiled and said, Do you find this keepsake of mine very strange? Lin Feng smiled bitterly and nodded. He said, I've seen all kinds of keepsakes, but this is the first time I've seen someone forge a keepsake in the shape of a comb. Bai Suxin said, The person who left this keepsake behind might be a female cultivator from the Death Island. Bai Suxin activated the comb. To Lin Feng's surprise, the comb was not only a keepsake, but it was also a powerful magic treasure. Chapter 5566. The comb flew out, and Lin Feng and Bai Suxin quickly followed. Lin Feng put away the ancient spaceship Xianyuan. Then, he and Bai Suxin followed the comb and quickly flew forward. When they arrived at a region of the sea, the comb entered it. Lin Feng and Bai Suxin were overjoyed. Had they arrived at their destination? They did not hesitate and entered the region of the sea and quickly chased after the comb. They quickly dove down. As they dove deeper, Lin Feng could clearly feel a terrifying magnetic field enveloping his body, and it seemed to be affecting his mind. The situation was very bad. Fortunately, Lin Feng had powerful means and successfully dispelled the magnetic field's influence on him. Bai Suxin's means were also extraordinary. She also dispelled the magnetic field's influence on her. The two continued to dive. Lin Feng said, The magnetic field is so powerful. It seems like we're about to reach the Undead Isles. I wonder what the Undead Isles look like now. It can't be that evil ghosts are everywhere, right? In truth, Lin Feng hoped that such a situation would happen. It would be best if a few powerful evil ghosts were born. At that time, he could collect all those terrifying existences into the Book of the Dead. Currently, there were 56 saint-level undead creatures in the Book of the Dead. Lin Feng felt that it was far from enough. The more undead creatures there were in the Book of the Dead, the better. It was very important to him. Bai Suxin naturally did not know about the Book of the Dead. She rolled her eyes at Lin Feng and said, You're such a jinx. We should pray that this trip will go smoothly. I don't want to see those powerful undead creatures. They'll definitely be a huge problem. Lin Feng did not explain anything. If there were no powerful undead creatures, then so be it. However, if there were powerful undead creatures, at that time, I'll let you know how powerful this young master is. Maybe you can be at ease when the time comes. Let's gallop. The two continued to follow the comb as it dived deeper. 4 hours later, a huge whirlpool appeared in his line of sight. After seeing the whirlpool, Lin Feng couldn't help but raise his eyebrows slightly. That vortex. It was extremely terrifying and contained a power that could destroy everything. Once sucked into the vortex, the cultivator's body could be instantly torn to pieces. However, that comb had flown into the whirlpool. It seemed that the Dead Soul Island had sunk into that whirlpool. Although that whirlpool was extremely terrifying, Lin Feng's methods were powerful, and it shouldn't be a problem for him to resolve the threat brought about by the whirlpool. The main problem was Bai Suxin. Lin Feng didn't know if Bai Suxin had a way to deal with the threat of the vortex. Lin Feng asked, "Can you deal with that whirlpool?" Bai Suxin replied, "No problem." After saying that, Bai Suxin took out an umbrella. It was a defensive Dharma treasure. Bai Suxin opened the umbrella. Millions of rays of divine light instantly poured down from the umbrella. The divine light enveloped Bai Suxin's body. As for Lin Feng, he took out his ruler's armor. The two of them entered the whirlpool, and a terrifying tearing force surged toward them. The tearing force attacking Lin Feng was blocked by Lin Feng's ruler's armor. The tearing force attacking Bai Suxin was neutralized by Bai Suxin's magic treasure. The two of them passed through the whirlpool and appeared in a huge space. There was actually another world under the whirlpool. "Look!" Bai Suxin pointed at a place in the distance. Bai Suxin pointed in the distance. Lin Feng looked over and saw a gigantic island. The island was shrouded in an endless aura of death. Lin Feng also sensed that the power of a curse enveloped the outer region of the island. That island should be the island of dead souls. Bai Suxin put away the comb and said, "We've finally found the Dead Soul Island. However, how are we going to enter the island now?" The reason she said that was because the Dead Soul Island was truly extraordinary. The island of the dead souls was emitting a strong power of death and curse. The power of death was nothing to him. The most terrifying thing was the curse energy. No matter when. One could not be careless when encountering the curse energy because it was too strange. The curse power was simply too bizarre. If you dared to underestimate the curse power, you would be in trouble. One might suffer a calamity. Lin Feng said, "It seems that the cultivators of the Dead Soul Island really did set up a curse." Bai Suxin replied, "That's right, they did indeed cast a curse. Their curse trapped everyone on the undead island. That's because they were the enemies of the Dead Soul Island. They killed so many people for their own selfish desires. The Dead Soul Island did not harm those innocent people. But now, the Dead Soul Island has become a notorious power. It's truly lamentable." Lin Feng knew the truth behind Bai Suxin's words. There was a rumor in the outside world that the cultivators of the Dead Soul Island had set up a curse when they died. Any cultivator who entered the Deathly Still Sea would die there. The Deathly Still Sea was incomparably dangerous and terrifying. Thus, many cultivators who entered the Deathly Still Sea had died there. And so, the rumor that the Dead Soul Island had set up a curse gradually became a reality. In fact, even though the Dead Soul Island had been destroyed, they did not set up such a vicious curse. Lin Feng said, "History is written by the victors, while the Dead Soul Island is a loser. That's why many rumors are unfavorable to the Dead Soul Island." "Yes." Bai Suxin nodded. The two of them flew toward the Dead Soul Island. They arrived outside the Dead Soul Island. The Dead Soul Island was enveloped by the death energy and curse energy, but it also had extremely powerful restrictions. However, Lin Feng had the stone scripture. He could ignore the restrictions. "How do you think we should enter?" Bai Suxin frowned slightly. She was worried that the curse energy would invade her body. That was an extremely troublesome matter. Lin Feng said, I've cultivated the Great Curse technique. Perhaps I can use it to resist the invasion of the curse energy. I'll bring you in later. All right, then I'll have to trouble you, young master, Bai Suxin said. You're welcome, Lin Feng said with a smile. He hugged Bai Suxin's slim waist. It was so comfortable to hug an ant's waist. Bai Suxin's beautiful face was slightly red. Being in such close contact with Lin Feng while she was awake made her feel very shy. Lin Feng did not think too much about it. His thoughts were all on the Dead Soul Island. Thus, even though he was hugging a beautiful woman, he did not have any evil thoughts. Chapter 55-67. Lin Feng hugged Bai Suxin and flew towards the Dead Soul Islands. When they were close to the Dead Soul Islands, Lin Feng activated the stone's scripture and the restrictions were no longer a threat. Bai Suxin's umbrella-shaped magic treasure was still being used by her, so her body was still surrounded by divine light. Although the divine light could not block the curse power, it could block the death power. Bai Suxin did not have to worry about the death power invading her body. At this moment, the powerful curse power surged towards the two of them. Lin Feng didn't dare waste time. He hastily used his Great Cursing Technique. When the Great Curse Technique was activated, the curse power was actually blocked by Lin Feng's Great Curse Technique. Lin Feng's face could not help but reveal a happy expression. As expected of the Great Curse Technique, it was indeed awesome. Lin Feng took this opportunity to quickly rush into the Dead Soul Islands with Bai Suxin. The curse power could not be felt inside the Dead Soul Islands. It seemed that the curse power was concentrated in the outer regions of the islands. Its purpose was to prevent the cultivators who invaded the Dead Soul Islands from escaping. Lin Feng let go of Bai Suxin. Bai Suxin blushed slightly and said, "Thank you, young master." Lin Feng thought to himself, "If you really want to thank me, then let me hug you for a while." Of course, he did not directly say this out loud. When the words reached his mouth, they became something like this. "Fairy, you're welcome." The Dead Soul Islands were covered in a dense forest. Lin Feng and Bai Suxin rushed into the depths of the forest. After entering the dense forest, they saw many corpses. They were densely packed together, and could not be counted. Who knew how many people had died in the past? It seemed that, in the past, the factions that attacked the Dead Soul Islands must have mobilized a lot of experts. Lin Feng inspected some of the corpses. He discovered that many of the corpses had the curse power invading them. It seemed that the deaths of these people were directly related to the curse on the Dead Soul Islands. When she looked at the corpses, Bai Suxin revealed a hateful gaze. Many of Bai Suxin's ancestors had died because of these people. Even though countless years had passed, this kind of blood feud was hard to forget. The two of them went deeper and deeper. After they reached the depths, they saw a large number of dilapidated palaces, large numbers of temples, and so on. Those places should be where the Dead Soul Island used to live. It was just that in the battle back then, these places had already been destroyed. Lin Feng suddenly felt a chill on his back. He turned around to look. Whoosh! He didn't know if it was an illusion, but Lin Feng felt a shadow flash behind him and disappear. Damn, what's going on? Lin Feng's mind couldn't help but tremble slightly. Given his powerful cultivation base, he would be able to do so. If someone were to appear here, it would be impossible for them to not sense the other party. However, what was the actual situation? However, Lin Feng didn't discover anything. This was too terrifying. What's wrong? Bai Suxin looked at Lin Feng and asked. Lin Feng asked, "Didn't you notice anything earlier? What have you discovered?" Bai Suxin asked. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. Was it an illusion? It wasn't a good thing to have such an illusion in a place like this, but he really didn't find anything earlier. Lin Feng said, "It's fine. Maybe I sensed wrongly." The two of them entered the ruins. Corpses were piled up like a mountain. As they walked, Bai Suxin couldn't help but cry. Women were more emotional, especially this place. For Bai Suxin, it was indeed a sad place. There were so many corpses. Many of them were Bai Suxin's ancestors, After they died, they couldn't even be buried in peace. Bai Suxin was naturally very sad. No matter who it was, they wouldn't be in a good mood. Lin Feng originally wanted to persuade Bai Suxin, but after thinking about it, he didn't. Lin Feng really didn't know how to persuade her. Should he say something like, "My condolences"? Who would be able to restrain their grief when faced with the tragic deaths of their clansmen? The two of them walked through the ruins. They went to many places, including the ancestral hall, the treasury, and other places. However, they didn't find anything. The treasures in the treasury were also gone. Most likely, the people who escaped back then took the treasures with them. It's really strange that we didn't find anything. Lin Feng frowned. He felt that there should be something here. Lin Feng looked at Bai Suxin and asked, "Did you find anything?" Bai Suxin shook her head. She wasn't in a particularly good mood. Lin Feng knew that Bai Suxin was sad, but now wasn't the time to be sad. The most important thing was to find the opportunity here and leave this damned place as soon as possible. Lin Feng kept feeling that something was wrong, so he didn't want to stay here for long. Lin Feng said, "Try circulating your bloodline. See if you can sense anything." Bai Suxin nodded. She also knew that now wasn't the time to be sad. She began circulating her bloodline. When Bai Suxin's bloodline started circulating, something shocking happened. Boom! 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 8 pillars of light soared into the sky. After the 8 pillars of light appeared, countless runes interweaved, and the area turned into a huge formation. The piles of corpses there were instantly reduced to ashes. Lin Feng and Bai Suxin quickly flew toward that area, and they saw that there was an altar there. Waves of death energy surged from the altar. The power of death had completely sealed off the entire altar. 8 Gates Necromancy Formation! It's actually such a formation. The person who set up such a formation will never be able to reincarnate. It seems like this formation must have been set up by your ancestors to deal with those invaders. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. The dead soul owl had been too miserable back then. Bai Suxin nodded. She couldn't help but feel sad when she thought of the tragic experiences of her ancestors. At that moment, something shocking happened. Corpses appeared on the altar one after another. Lin Feng gasped when he saw the corpses. There were a total of 49 corpses. It seemed that they were the upper echelons of the Dead Soul Isle. 7 by 7, 49. 9 was the ultimate number, and it meant great misfortune. Lin Feng finally understood why those people had been trapped here. In order to kill those invaders, the people of the Dead Soul Isle didn't even leave themselves a way out. Suddenly, Lin Feng's eyes narrowed slightly. He saw something. The cultivator at the front was holding it in his hand. It was a palm-sized green stone tablet. Could it be? Lin Feng thought of a possibility. Back then, those people had schemed and even destroyed the Dead Soul Isle for the sake of that green stone tablet. But what was the origin of that green stone tablet? What secrets did it record? Why were those factions so crazy about it? Lin Feng was puzzled. Chapter 5568. How can we obtain the green steel from that ancestor? Bai Suxin asked. She could tell that the tablet was extraordinary, but obtaining it wasn't going to be an easy task. The 8 Gates Undead formation was too terrifying, and it was too difficult to resist. Furthermore, there were some differences between the 8 Gates Undead formation and other formations. Other formations would grow weaker as time passed, but the 8 Gates Undead formation was different. However, the 8 Gates Undead formation was a little special. So many people had died here, and the powerful death energy had been nourishing the 8 Gates Undead formation for a long time. That was why the 8 Gates Undead formation was so terrifying, and it was even more powerful than it had been in the past. Anyone who got too close to it might die. Bai Suxin knew how terrifying the 8 Gates Undead formation was, so she didn't know how to retrieve the tablet. Lin Feng said, "I can give it a try. You have a way?" Bai Suxin's eyes lit up. Lin Feng nodded. He then said, "I just don't know if it's possible. We'll find out soon enough." Lin Feng's method was to use the stone scripture to enter the 8 gates undead formation. Ordinary formations wouldn't be able to do anything to the stone scripture, but the 8 gates undead formation was too strange. That was why Lin Feng was a little nervous, as he didn't know how effective the stone scripture would be. Lin Feng activated the stone scripture and walked towards the 8 gates undead formation. When Lin Feng arrived outside the 8 gates undead formation, a terrifying wave of energy surged out. The 8 gates undead formation immediately released a terrifying attack towards Lin Feng. Just as the attack was about to hit Lin Feng, Lin Feng's stone scripture suddenly released waves of terrifying devouring power. The devouring power directly devoured the attack from the 8 gates undead formation. Lin Feng couldn't help but look happy. Even though the 8 doors deployment spell was powerful, it was still very powerful. Although the 8 gates undead formation was powerful, his stone scripture was even more powerful. Lin Feng entered the 8 gates undead formation and held the green tablet in his hand. However, at that moment, something terrifying happened. A large amount of destructive power surged out of the 8 gates undead formation. The 8 gates necromancer formation was about to self-destruct. This scared Lin Feng to death. If the 8 gates necromancer formation self-destructed, that would be disastrous. Lin Feng quickly rushed outside. The 8 gate necromancy deployment spell wanted to trap Lin Feng, but it didn't work. Lin Feng successfully rushed out. A relieved expression appeared on his face. He had finally escaped. It had been too dangerous. Lin Feng rushed out of the 8 gates undead formation. The 8 gates necromancer formation self-destructed in an instant, along with the corpses of the cultivators. Lin Feng wiped his sweat. Fortunately, he had come out in advance. Otherwise, he would have been reduced to ashes. "I've taken it out. Let's go," Lin Feng said. Bai Suxin was also very happy. She quickly nodded her head and was about to leave with Lin Feng when a gloomy aura suddenly filled the area. A large amount of ghost qi surged. Within the ghost qi, there was a frightening aura. "The Netherworld's people are here again." Bai Suxin's expression became unsightly. Lin Feng nodded. He couldn't help but frown slightly. The other party had clearly followed him and Bai Suxin. They hadn't noticed them before, which meant that the leader of the Netherworld's people was an extremely terrifying existence. Lin Feng said, "Let's wait and see. Boy, you're very strong. You were able to kill so many of the Netherworld's experts. Even I admire you a little." A gloomy voice came from within the ghost qi. "How should I address you?" Lin Feng asked. "The 9th Ghost Lord," the being within the ghost qi replied. Lin Feng's pupils shrank when he heard that. The 9th Ghost Lord was definitely a titled god, and he was the most powerful titled god. This guy was from the same era as the 9th Human Emperor, and he was still alive. Lin Feng knew that only the first layer of the Netherworld was open. The other layers had been sealed. It seemed that the 9th Ghost Lord had also been sealed previously, and had just broken out of the seal, right? "I really didn't think that there would be someone as strong as you in this era," Lin Feng said. "Hee, I've only managed to survive until now," the 9th Ghost Lord said. "Your voice is loud and clear, and you're full of vigor. You're not just surviving. I think we can sit down and talk," Lin Feng said. "What's there to talk about between us?" the 9th Ghost Lord said. "How about we fight against the apocalypse battle together?" Lin Feng said. "Talk my ass. I won't participate in the apocalypse battle. I just want to live. The lives of others have nothing to do with me," the 9th Ghost Lord sneered. Lin Feng said, "Don't say that. This is a great merit," the 9th Ghost Lord said. "Don't give me this useless talk. Hand over the green stone tablet, and I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, I'll make you wish you were dead." Lin Feng's eyes darkened, and he said, "Then let's see who will win. Kill them." The 9th Ghost Lord gave the order, and an endless amount of ghostly qi rushed towards Lin Feng and Bai Suxin. The aura was extremely terrifying. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he summoned the Book of the Dead. The Book of the Dead shone with an endless amount of ghostly energy. Bang, 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 many of the ghosts hiding in the ghostly chi exploded. The Book of the Dead. The ninth Ghost Lord was shocked, but then he laughed loudly. Ha 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 ha, I never thought that I would find the Book of the Undead here. What a great opportunity! I'll take both the Book of the Undead and the Cyan Stone Tablet. As soon as he finished speaking, the ninth Ghost Lord personally attacked. He sent a palm strike towards the Book of the Dead from afar. Bang! That tyrannical slap sent the Book of the Dead flying. Suppress! The ninth Ghost Lord shouted coldly, and a ghost mountain condensed in the air. It directly suppressed the Book of the Dead in the air. Lin Feng's expression turned ugly. He didn't dare hesitate, and hurriedly took out his 36 bamboo swords. The 36 bamboo swords quickly attacked the ninth Ghost Lord. Good fellow, you even forged a powerful young treasure. But your treasure hasn't transformed into a holy weapon, so it can't hurt me. The ninth Ghost Lord sneered and flicked his finger. Clang, 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 a series of collisions rang out, and Lin Feng's 36 bamboo swords were also sent flying. This is going to be troublesome. Lin Feng's expression became gloomy. Let's run. Bai Suxin said. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. Right now, they couldn't escape even if they wanted to. Chapter 5569. Escape? How naive! Do you really think you can escape? The ninth Wraith Lord sneered. Lin Feng retorted. Don't get too cocky. I have my ways to deal with you. Lin Feng took out Pangu's axe. Aside from the epic war spear, Pangu's axe was the only ancient weapon that he could use easily. As for the other ancient weapons, Lin Feng found it difficult to unleash their full power. Lin Feng wielded Pangu's axe and swung it at the ninth Wraith Lord. A thick beam of axe light condensed and appeared in front of the ninth Wraith Lord. The ninth Wraith Lord sneered and flicked his finger. The beam of axe light was shattered. Lin Feng took out the epic war spear, and Pangu's axe flew out. In midair, Pangu's axe expanded rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, it was over 100 meters long. Its aura was terrifying, and its might was overwhelming. Such a supreme treasure was naturally shocking. Lin Feng followed closely behind. Pangu's axe? Looks like you've inherited Pangu's legacy. Take this attack from my Wraith Lord's sword. Facing the incoming Pangu axe, the ninth Ghost Lord took out a treasured sword. This treasured sword should be the Wraith Lord's sword that he had mentioned before. The ninth Wraith Lord swung his sword at Pangu's axe. Clang! The Wraith Lord's sword and Pangu's axe collided fiercely. Suddenly, an earth-shattering sound was heard. It was as if the void was almost shattered. At this moment, Lin Feng charged forward with the epic war spear in hand. Lin Feng saw the ninth Wraith Lord's appearance clearly. He was skinny, and he looked like he was in his 30s. His face was pale, and his eyes were sinister. This was the ninth Wraith Lord. Go to hell! Lin Feng didn't hold back, and he stabbed his spear at the ninth Wraith Lord. You're a terrifying figure to be able to kill your way to me, but that's all. Today, I'll let you know how powerful I am. As soon as he finished speaking, a vertical eye appeared on the forehead of the ninth Wraith Lord. The eye of the Wraith Lord. This was an eye that only a Wraith Lord could condense. It was extremely terrifying. The eye of the Wraith Lord shot out billions of beams of death light, blasting toward Lin Feng. Not good. Lin Feng's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly summoned his ruler's armor and Phoenix Shield to defend himself. Bang! The opponent's terrifying attack fiercely bombarded Lin Feng's Phoenix Shield. Lin Feng was blown away by the explosion. Even though he had the Phoenix Shield and the Dominator's armor to block that terrifying attack, it was still too late. However, Lin Feng still felt extremely uncomfortable. He felt his chi and blood churn, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. The ninth Ghost Lord's expression was indifferent as he charged towards Lin Feng. However, at this moment, the ninth Ghost Lord seemed to have sensed something and looked behind him. A withered old woman appeared behind the ninth Wraith Lord. The old woman sent a palm strike at the ninth Ghost Lord. The ninth Ghost Lord hastily reacted and sent a palm strike at the old woman. Bang! The two sides collided fiercely, and the ninth Ghost Lord was sent flying by the old woman. Who are you? The ninth Ghost Lord's expression became extremely solemn. He was a terrifying existence. Even if he attacked hastily, there were very few people who could force him back. However, the old woman had done it. It was truly shocking. Lin Feng and Bai Suxin also looked at the old woman in shock. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Earlier, he had sensed a black shadow flash behind him. However, when he searched carefully, he hadn't found anything. But now, that black shadow was very likely the old woman in front of him. Could it be that the old woman was a cultivator from the Dead Souls Island? When he thought of this, Lin Feng couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Bai Suxin had obviously thought of this possibility as well. She looked at the old woman somewhat excitedly. Could it be one of her ancestors? The old woman's voice was hoarse as she said, "The Netherworld's reach is really long. This is the Yang Realm. The Netherworld and the Yang Realm should not interfere with each other. This is a rule that has been set since the beginning of this era, right?" The ninth Ghost Lord said. "There is indeed such a rule, and the Netherworld has been abiding by it for many years. However, what time is it now? This is the end of the era. Heaven and earth are crumbling, and the sun and moon are sinking. The heavens and the earth are on the verge of destruction. Heaven and earth are in complete chaos. Who would still abide by those rules?" The ninth Ghost Lord's words made a lot of sense. In an era that was about to be destroyed, everyone was only concerned with preserving their own lives. Naturally, there were fewer and fewer people who followed the rules. One could only imagine how chaotic it would be after a while. Wouldn't the Yang Realm be filled with burning, killing, and looting? When that time came, it would definitely be a mess. If the beings of the Netherworld came out again, it would really be a night of 100 ghosts. It would be extremely chaotic. Humph. The old woman snorted coldly and said, "I don't want to say anything else to you. Leave, and I won't make things difficult for you. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless." The ninth Ghost Lord was obviously not someone who could be scared with a few words. After all, the ninth Ghost Lord was really too terrifying. The ninth Ghost Lord said coldly, "It just so happens that I want to experience your techniques." As soon as he finished speaking, the ninth Ghost Lord raised his Ghost Lord sword and attacked the old woman. The old woman stretched out her hand and made a grabbing motion. The comb that Bai Suxin had put away immediately flew out. Seeing the comb fly toward the old woman, Bai Suxin became even more excited. That comb was a keepsake left behind by her ancestor. Now that it was flying toward the old woman, it meant that the old woman was very likely the owner of the comb. This also proved the old woman's identity. At that moment, the comb magic treasure flew in front of the old woman and quickly grew bigger. Under the old woman's control, the comb magic treasure quickly flew toward the ninth Ghost Lord. Clang! The old woman's comb magic treasure collided with the ninth Ghost Lord's sword. Both sides were evenly matched. However, at that moment, a large amount of death energy surged out from the Isle of Dead Souls and was all devoured by the old woman. After receiving the support of the death energy, the old woman's battle prowess suddenly increased greatly. When she activated the comb magic treasure again, the old woman's battle prowess suddenly increased greatly. When she used the comb magic treasure again, its power also increased greatly. The comb magic treasure collided with the ninth Ghost Lord's sword again. The ninth Ghost Lord was sent flying. The old woman quickly rushed forward. Bang, bang, bang! 3 consecutive palm strikes landed on the ninth Ghost Lord's chest. Wah! The ninth Ghost Lord could not help but vomit blood. Someone as strong as him, he was actually injured. He was really mad with hatred. "Your life! I want it!" the old woman said coldly and quickly rushed toward the ninth Ghost Lord. However, the ninth Ghost Lord did not have the heart to continue fighting. The ninth Ghost Lord did not fight the old woman head-on. Instead, he turned around and fled. Chapter 55-70. The Ninth Ghost Lord Fled. Lin Feng let out a long sigh. That guy was too terrifying, but the old woman had actually forced him to retreat. It was clear how powerful she was. Senior! Bai Suxin looked at the old woman excitedly. The old woman sighed and said, "It's fate. We shouldn't have met, and if we did, we would have met a calamity." Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat when he heard the old woman's words. Could it be that something bad would happen when the old woman and Bai Suxin met? Bai Suxin's expression changed abruptly. She asked, "Senior, what do you mean by that?" The old woman did not answer Bai Suxin's question. Instead, she said, "It's good that we meet. I'll give you my clan's necromancy scripture." The old woman took out an ancient scripture as she spoke. The ancient scripture flew towards Bai Suxin. It should be the complete necromancy scripture. Bai Suxin accepted the ancient scripture. Lin Feng asked, "Senior, can I ask you something?" The old woman looked at Lin Feng and said, "Ask away. What's so special about this green steel? Why did so many people go crazy over it?" Lin Feng asked curiously. The old woman said, "Rumor has it that someone once gathered all the steels and comprehended some terrifying supreme divine techniques from them. Afterward, those supreme divine techniques were branded onto the green steel." "What? There's such a thing?" Lin Feng's face was filled with disbelief. This piece of news was really too shocking. Someone had actually managed to gather all the steels in history. What a terrifying method! Lin Feng asked. "The method to immortality couldn't have been recorded there, right?" "I don't know. Back then, my clan obtained this thing, but unfortunately, we didn't manage to comprehend its contents." The old woman sighed. How prosperous was the Necromancy Islands back then? It had been destroyed because of the green steel. Even now, the old woman still couldn't let go of this matter. Lin Feng thought to himself, "You guys can't comprehend it, but I can. If I can really comprehend the method to immortality, that'll be awesome. By then, yours truly would never be able to die. Heaven and earth are destroyed, but I am immortal. Epics perish, but I live forever." The old woman looked at Lin Feng and asked, "You want it?" "Yes," Lin Feng said. He didn't feel awkward at all. He wanted this item anyway. However, this did not belong to Lin Feng. It belonged to Bai Suxin. Or rather, they belonged to their lineage. "All right, promise me one thing and I'll give you this green stone tablet," the old woman said. Bai Suxin was shocked. The Dead Souls Island was destroyed because of this item. Now, the old woman was willing to give it away. She couldn't understand this. However, Bai Suxin didn't say anything else. She knew that the old woman must have her reasons for doing so. "What is it?" Lin Feng asked. "Marry her." The old woman pointed at Bai Suxin and said. "What?" Lin Feng was dumbfounded. He thought he had misheard. "Senior." Bai Suxin looked at the old woman in disbelief. She really couldn't understand why the old woman would make such a request. "Cough, cough." Lin Feng coughed dryly and said, "Well, marriage is something that requires both parties to be willing, right? After all, nothing forcibly done will be sweet." The old woman looked at Bai Suxin and said, "Child, take off your veil." Bai Suxin didn't dare to disobey the old woman, so she took off her veil, revealing a flawless face that could topple nations. She was truly beautiful and moving. "Now let me ask you. If you marry her, I'll give you the green stone tablet as her dowry. Do you agree?" The old woman looked at Lin Feng again and asked. "Of course, there's no problem with me." Lin Feng laughed dryly. Not only did he get the green stone tablet, but he also got to marry such a beautiful woman. Lin Feng was naturally happy. This was like a pie falling from the sky. "Senior, how can you decide my marriage so hastily? Besides, I don't want to get married." Bai Suxin blushed. She was speaking from the bottom of her heart. Bai Suxin really didn't want to get married. She only wanted to silently protect her clansmen. The old woman said, "Child, come with me. I have something to say to you in private." Bai Suxin nodded. Bai Suxin followed the old woman. Lin Feng waited in place. He couldn't help but mutter to himself. He didn't know what the old woman would say to Bai Suxin, but he felt that it should be about the marriage. Before long, the old woman and Bai Suxin returned. The old woman looked at Lin Feng and said, "She has agreed." Lin Feng glanced at Bai Suxin and saw that she was blushing. She looked so beautiful that he couldn't imagine what would happen to her. Lin Feng said, "However, it's obvious that there's a price to pay for this. I want to know what the price is." The old woman said, "Protecting my clan is the same as protecting your own clan. No matter what difficulties you encounter, you must not abandon them. Can you do that?" Lin Feng was slightly surprised. He hadn't expected the old woman to raise such a condition. However, Lin Feng quickly understood some of the reasoning behind it. The Armageddon War was about to arrive. The old woman's words seemed to be a farewell. In other words, the heavy responsibility of protecting their clan fell on Bai Suxin. But what about Bai Suxin? Could Bai Suxin really protect their clan? The old woman clearly didn't have any confidence in Bai Suxin. Perhaps even Bai Suxin didn't have much confidence in him. Thus, the old woman thought of himself. A powerful existence like the old woman would definitely be able to see how extraordinary his background was. If he tied their clan to him, he would be able to soar into the sky. At that time, if he could soar into the 9 heavens, his clan would be protected, and perhaps they would not be exterminated. Lin Feng said, "I agree, senior." "All right, I'll be your witness. Now bow to the heavens and earth," the old woman said. In any case, Lin Feng's face was thick enough. Naturally, there was no problem. Although Bai Suxin agreed to marry Lin Feng, she was still very shy when it came to it. However, Bai Suxin quickly adjusted her emotions. Under the old woman's witness, she bowed to the heaven and earth with Lin Feng. "Wife," Lin Feng called out. He was very happy in his heart. He actually had such a beautiful wife. He could even wake up from his sleep with a smile. "Hubby." Bai Suxin blushed and bowed to Lin Feng. Lin Feng helped Bai Suxin up. He accidentally touched Bai Suxin's hand and felt that Bai Suxin's skin was as smooth as silk. He could feel it. It was extremely comfortable. "I hope you two can love each other," the old woman said. Then, she walked into the distance and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Chapter 55-71. What is the old senior going to do? Lin Feng asked. Bai Suxin secretly shed tears and said, "The ancestor said that she doesn't have much time left, so she wants to find a place with beautiful scenery to bury herself." That, Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. Was this considered a farewell? Lin Feng felt that the old woman was quite a nice person. He couldn't help but sigh. There were too many things in the world that didn't go as one wished. For example, what happened today made him sigh endlessly. "Let's go." Lin Feng looked at Bai Suxin and said, "Okay." Bai Suxin nodded. However, now that her identity had changed, she was naturally a lot more bashful when she was alone with Lin Feng. Lin Feng could also see that. He said, "Right, I have something for you." "What is it?" Bai Suxin asked curiously. "Close your eyes," Lin Feng said. Bai Suxin's thoughts were simple, so she didn't think too much about it. When she heard Lin Feng telling her to close her eyes, she closed her eyes. Bai Suxin closed her eyes. At that moment, Bai Suxin felt something on her lips. She opened her eyes, and her beautiful eyes widened. That was her first kiss. It was gone just like that. Bai Suxin didn't know what to do. She then realized that she had been deceived by Lin Feng, and her anger instantly reached its peak. However, before Bai Suxin could flip out, Lin Feng ran into the distance. "Don't run! You're lying! You're a bad guy! I'm going to kill you!" Bai Suxin screamed. Lin Feng realized that Bai Suxin, who looked as gentle as water, had the potential to be a tigress. Lin Feng said, "You're my wife, and we've even bowed to heaven and earth. What's wrong with kissing you? That won't do." I'm not ready yet, Bai Suxin said angrily. She quickly chased after Lin Feng. Lin Feng ran while shouting, "Help! You're trying to murder your husband!" The two of them came out of the Isle of the Dead, and Lin Feng summoned the ancient starship Xian Yuan. He boarded the ancient starship, and Bai Suxin chased after him. Lin Feng hugged her. "You rogue! Let me go!" Bai Suxin blushed and struggled, but she couldn't break free. Lin Feng hugged Bai Suxin and fell to the ground. He smiled and said, "I'm your husband, how can I be a rogue? Come, let's hug each other like this and look at the sky. Isn't that nice?" Lin Feng's body. Bai Suxin was leaning against Lin Feng's chest. Bai Suxin struggled but couldn't break free. She had no choice but to let Lin Feng hug her. However, her pretty face was flushed red. "What kind of person are you?" Bai Suxin asked. She was very nervous because she wasn't particularly familiar with Lin Feng. If the old woman hadn't said so many things to her, Bai Suxin wouldn't have agreed to it. But since she had agreed, Lin Feng would truly be her lover in the future. Of course, she hoped that Lin Feng was a good person. She hoped that he would be nice to her and her clansmen. Bai Suxin's requirements were very low. However, she didn't know if Lin Feng was capable of doing so. Perhaps in the eyes of many people, these requirements were still too high. Lin Feng said, "I'm someone you can trust." Bai Suxin said, "I hope so." The ancient starship Xian Yuan flew above the sea. 10 days later, Lin Feng and Bai Suxin arrived at a foggy sea and landed on an island. Bai Suxin said, "There's a spatial barrier here, and it's very hidden. My clansmen are currently living inside the spatial barrier." Lin Feng asked curiously, "How many clansmen do you have?" "About 2,000, Bai Suxin said. Lin Feng nodded. "That's still not a lot," Lin Feng said. Lin Feng followed Bai Suxin into the spatial barrier. The spatial barrier wasn't very big. There were many thatched huts in the distance. The environment was quite good. "Big Sister Suxin is back! Big Sister Suxin is back!" When they saw Bai Suxin return, some children who were playing around immediately started shouting happily. "It seems like you're quite popular," Lin Feng said. "Of course," Bai Suxin said proudly. "Have you thought about what you're going to say to my grandfather?" Bai Suxin asked. On the way, Lin Feng and Bai Suxin chatted a lot. Lin Feng knew that Bai Suxin's parents were dead, and she only had one close relative left. Her grandfather was the current clan leader. Lin Feng said, "Of course, I've thought about it. But you can't talk nonsense. Otherwise, I won't forgive you," Bai Suxin threatened. However, she was too beautiful. Even when she threatened Lin Feng with a fierce look, she didn't look fierce at all. Instead, she looked very cute. Not long later, Lin Feng and Bai Suxin arrived at the village. Many people walked out. The person in the lead was a white-haired old man. He should be Bai Suxin's grandfather. "Suxin, you're finally back. It's good that you're back." The old man had a kind expression on his face. He naturally noticed Lin Feng. Bai Suxin had never brought outsiders here before. The clan also had a rule that forbade outsiders from entering. Logically speaking, Bai Suxin shouldn't have made such a mistake. However, Bai Suxin had brought outsiders here today. There must be a reason behind it. Lin Feng cupped his fists and said, "Grandfather, Junior Lin Feng has something to say to you in private. Is that all right?" Bai Suxin muttered in his heart. "Who is this kid? Why is he calling me grandfather? Why is he so thick-skinned?" However, Bai Suxin wasn't an ordinary person. He nodded and said, "Young friend, come with me." Bai Suxin didn't follow Bai Suxin. She knew what Lin Feng wanted to talk to her about, so she was too embarrassed to go. Bai Suxin was actually very shy. She didn't know how Lin Feng would talk to her grandfather about the two of them. An hour later, Bai Suxin saw her grandfather and Lin Feng walking out while talking and laughing. Bai Suxin had an incredulous expression on her face. In her eyes, her grandfather should be an extremely stubborn old man. How could his granddaughter's marriage be a trifling matter? He might even quarrel with Lin Feng. However, the two of them were looking at each other, as if they regretted not having met earlier. It was truly inconceivable. Bai Suxin couldn't help but feel puzzled. What kind of bewitching potion did Lin Feng feed her grandfather? Old Master Bai waved at Bai Suxin. He said, "Suxin, come here." Bai Suxin walked over. Bai Suxin said, "Suxin, you and Lil Lin must have had a hard journey. Take Lil Lin to rest." "Yes, grandfather. We'll pay you a visit in the evening," Bai Suxin said with a red face. She then pulled Lin Feng towards her residence. "I've been too busy during the New Year. I'm too tired. I'm taking a break today." Chapter 5572. Bai Suxin's residence was a stone house. It looked very simple, but Bai Suxin clearly did not care about it. Bai Suxin looked at Lin Feng and asked, "What did you say to my grandfather? Why is my grandfather treating you so warmly?" Lin Feng smiled and said, "I told my grandfather that if he follows me in the future, all the young men in the village will have enough cultivation resources, and they will also have beautiful women as their wives." Pfft! Bai Suxin burst out laughing. She naturally did not believe Lin Feng's words. If he said such shallow words, wouldn't his grandfather blow his beard and glare at him? "What the hell did you say? Are you trying to hide it from me?" Bai Suxin looked at Lin Feng in annoyance. Her shy and angry expression was so beautiful that it was suffocating. A top-grade beauty was indeed a top-grade beauty. However, this beautiful woman in front of him had inexplicably become his wife. It was a very strange thing. However, it was all real. Lin Feng was in a very good mood. Anyone would be in a good mood if they had such a top-grade beauty as their wife. Lin Feng pulled Bai Suxin into his embrace. "Pervert, what are you doing? Let go of me!" Bai Suxin's face turned red, and she began to struggle. However, she was unable to break free. Lin Feng said, "You need to accompany your husband to rest. This is what a wife should do." "Scoundrel, it's broad daylight!" Bai Suxin's face turned even redder. Lin Feng smiled and said, "So you're saying that we can do it at night?" Bai Suxin blushed and said, "I didn't say that." However, Lin Feng did not let go of Bai Suxin. Even if he did not do anything, all he wanted to do was to hold this fragrant body in his embrace. It was also a great pleasure. "It's been a tiring journey. Let's rest," Lin Feng smiled and said. He then hugged Bai Suxin and fell asleep. At night, a bonfire party was held in the village. It was very lively. Bai Suxin's clansmen were very simple. Although they cultivated the death spirit scripture, it didn't affect their personalities too much. People were divided into good and evil. Cultivation techniques didn't differentiate between good and evil. These words were very reasonable, but too many people had long forgotten the meaning of these words. After the bonfire party ended, Old Master Bai gathered some of the respected elders in the village to discuss leaving this place. This place could indeed be called a paradise. However, their days were not easy. It was because they were the descendants of the Dead Souls Island. If they were discovered by others, it would be disastrous. Therefore, they were basically living in seclusion. The younger generation of the clan needed a lot of resources to assist in their cultivation. These were all things that the clan could not provide. Although it could provide some resources, it was only a portion of the resources. Those resources were far from enough for a cultivator to advance by leaps and bounds. There was also another matter, and that was to continue the family line. In the past, there would be some disciples who would look for their sweetheart outside in order to avoid marriage between close relatives. This was because the children born from close relatives were very unhealthy. However, not everyone could find their sweetheart. Or even if they found their sweetheart, they couldn't get together in the end due to various reasons. In particular, the identity of the descendants of the Dead Souls Island was too sensitive. Many people didn't dare to come into contact with the outside world. Many of the descendants of the Dead Souls Island died tragically outside after their identities were exposed. Continuing the family line was also a serious problem. And all the problems. Lin Feng could help them solve them perfectly. Therefore, leaving with Lin Feng naturally made them feel happy. Yuri. Everyone began to pack their things. In fact, there didn't seem to be much to pack. Lin Feng summoned the Xianyuan Ancient Starry Sky ship. Then, everyone boarded the ship. Many children looked very excited after boarding the Xianyuan Ancient Starry Sky ship. They kept jumping around and chattering about many things like little adults. When it was time to leave, many people still felt a little sad. After all, their ancestors had lived here for many years. Naturally, they had feelings for this place. However, even if they had feelings for it, it was time to leave. They rushed to a new life, to welcome new hope. Half a year later, the Xianyuan Ancient Starry Sky ship arrived at Sin City. After returning to Sin City, Lin Feng sent people to arrange things for Bai Suxin and his clansmen. Sin Domain. Everything was developing in an orderly manner. After returning, Lin Feng secretly hung out with Great Demon Yu and Hong Yuer for a while. Some time ago, when he was with Bai Suxin had ignited a lot of fire in him. But there was nothing he could do. Every time at a critical moment, Bai Suxin would resist to death. Lin Feng suppressed all the anger in his body. After hanging out with Lin Feng for a while, Great Demon Yu and Hong Yu were glowing. Shui Yuexin wanted to see Lin Feng several times, but Lin Feng refused with the excuse that he had something to do. Lin Feng's matter was, of course, his hanging out with Great Demon Yu and Hong Yuer. On this day, someone came to deliver a letter to Lin Feng. Lin Feng asked the guard to bring the messenger over. After asking around, he found out that the messenger was sent by N0. This surprised Lin Feng. Lin Feng opened the letter and read it. N0 said that she had returned to Huangfu Xian's side, and that Huangfu Xian knew about Huangfu Qingtian's death. After learning about this, Huangfu Xian went into seclusion for 3 days. During those 3 days, she did not see anyone. Then, Huangfu Xian came out. Huangfu Xian left alone, and her whereabouts were unknown. After reading the contents, Lin Feng couldn't help but have some doubts. Huangfu Xian disappeared. This woman was very scary, and she was the reincarnation of the 9th heaven mystical maiden. Where did Huangfu Xian go? Huangfu Xian must have known that he killed Huangfu Qingtian. Could it be? Did Huangfu Xian come to cause trouble? Huangfu Xian, if I'm not mistaken, the woman who snatched Huangfu Qingtian's corpse after I killed him in my first battle with him was you, right? Although you were wearing a veil at that time, you looked like a celestial being. You must be a peerless beauty. It's fine if you don't come, but if you dare come here, I'll capture you. Then I'll train you to be my maid. Lin Feng already had Great Demon Yu as his maid, but Lin Feng didn't mind having a few more peerless beauties as his maids. Chapter 5573. Shui Yuexin sent another message, saying that she wanted to see Lin Feng. Lin Feng already knew that Shui Yuexin had a problem. However, Shui Yuexin still didn't know that she had been exposed. Lin Feng still didn't see Shui Yuexin. Over the next few days, Sin City became more and more lively. First, Su Yingran from Heavenly Tower came to visit Lin Feng. She had an extraordinary status in Heavenly Tower. She and Lin Feng had a bit of an ambiguous relationship. Of course, this wasn't enough to reach the level of a couple. Su Yingran came to tell Lin Feng a piece of news. She said that the Celestial Emperor had colluded with some foreign experts. Lin Feng was shocked when he heard the news. Lin Feng said, "Previously, the foreign cultivators fought with the Celestial Emperor to the death for the Undying Realm's source energy. It hasn't even been that long, and they're already colluding with each other." "How shocking," Su Yingran said. "Benefits can make people let go of their prejudices and even their hatred. So, what are they trying to do by colluding with each other?" Lin Feng asked Su Yingran. "They're scheming something big," Su Yingran said. Heavenly Tower was well informed, and Lin Feng believed that Su Yingran knew a lot of important information. "For example?" Lin Feng looked at Su Yingran. "Restoring the might of the Heavenly Court is only the first step. Many powers will either submit or die, Su Yingran said. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. It seems that the undying realm is going to be in turmoil, Su Yingran said. Young master, you might not know this, but many places are already in turmoil. Oh? Did the Heavenly Court make a move? Lin Feng asked. Yes, they did. Many powers have been in their own territories for a long time and were overlords. Naturally, they weren't willing to submit. They were all destroyed, and all the treasures in their vaults were taken away, Su Yingran said. Lin Feng asked. From what you're saying, the people of the Heavenly Court are very interested in some treasures, Su Yingran replied. It's like this. I'm sure you've heard of something. The immortal world is also divided into 33 layers. Lin Feng nodded. He had indeed heard of this matter. However, Lin Feng didn't see the other 32 layers of heavens in the undying realm. This was what puzzled him the most. Su Yingran replied. The heaven realm's 33 layers of heaven were formed by the heavenly Tao. The 33 layers of the undying world were created by the celestial emperor, so they're also called the illusory world. Tiandi hasn't finished his task yet. If he does, he'll be able to transcend, said Lin Feng calmly. What a powerful technique! Lin Feng couldn't help but be greatly shocked. Su Yingran said. Yes, the Celestial Emperor's techniques are truly astonishing. He's been madly destroying many large organizations and collecting precious treasures. It seems that he wants to complete the 33 layers of heavens. Lin Feng sighed. If he succeeds, no one will be able to subdue him. The Sin realm needs to make preparations. Su Yingran reminded him. Yes. Lin Feng nodded gloomily. Lin Feng then wrapped his arm around Su Yingran's waist. What are you doing? Su Yingran hadn't expected Lin Feng to take advantage of her like this. She was both angry and embarrassed. Lin Feng said, You've come from so far away to tell me this. You're telling me such important news. I'm very touched. Of course, I want to repay you. Don't take advantage of me. I'm not that kind of woman. Su Yingran blushed. Actually, when she had first met Lin Feng, she had already had a good impression of him. That was why she had personally come to tell Lin Feng the important news. However, Su Yingran herself was indeed as she had said. She wasn't that kind of person. Lin Feng's actions were somewhat frivolous. I naturally know that you're not that kind of person. I really like you. I want to take the initiative and take you into my arms. As soon as he finished speaking, he kissed Su Yingran's red lips without waiting for her to react. Su Yingran only felt her mind go blank. Her body softened slightly and she fell into Lin Feng's arms. After a long time, Su Yingran's face was red as she lay in Lin Feng's arms. She said, I took a lot of risks to tell you the news, but I didn't expect to be bullied like this. If I had known earlier, back then I would have. Su Yingran seemed to want to say something like, I wouldn't have come. But these words went against her heart, so she didn't say it. Lin Feng said, How am I bullying you? I simply love you too much, okay? Lin Feng was an old hand in the field of love. All kinds of teasing words of love were naturally at his fingertips. Although Su Yingran was a member of Heavenly Tower, she was exposed to all kinds of news every day and could be considered experienced and knowledgeable. However, no matter how experienced and knowledgeable she was, she had never been teased like this. Moreover, she didn't have any intimate contact with the opposite sex. When she heard Lin Feng's words of love, she felt happy and shy. All kinds of feelings made Su Yingran feel complicated. But in her heart, she was extremely happy. Darling wife, I want to ask you something, Lin Feng said with a smile. Ah. Hearing the words, darling wife, Su Yingran blushed and quickly buried her head in Lin Feng's arms. She simply didn't dare to look at anyone. Lin Feng was secretly happy. He had never thought that Su Yingran was such a shy person. Shyness meant that she had little contact with men. It meant that she was chaste. He had really picked up a treasure. Su Yingran said, May I know what you want to ask? You're so young, but you're already in charge of Heavenly Tower's tower master position in a main city. Does that mean you have an extraordinary background in Heavenly Tower? Lin Feng asked. Women were easily suspicious. When she heard Lin Feng's words, Suingran's face paled. She said, "Could it be that the reason you're getting close to me is because of the faction behind me?" Lin Feng naturally knew what Suingran was thinking. He slapped Suingran's breast 3 times. Suingran's eyes were filled with tears. "Sir." Suingran was extremely embarrassed. Lin Feng said, "What nonsense are you thinking? I was just asking. Besides, since you know so much about me, I should at least know what my father-in-law does, right?" When she heard the words, "father-in-law," Suingran's face turned so red that it seemed like blood would drip from it. Suingran's voice was as soft as a mosquito's buzzing. "My father is the Vice Tower Master of Heavenly Tower's main branch." Lin Feng was astonished. He had thought that Suingran's father being an elder of Heavenly Tower's main branch was already of very high status. He hadn't expected him to be the Vice Tower Master of Heavenly Tower's main branch. This identity greatly exceeded Lin Feng's expectations. Chapter 5574. In fact, Suingran was of great help to Lin Feng, because intelligence was very important to any power. Lin Feng let Du Zhu be in charge of the construction and development of Sin Domain's intelligence organization, which was developing quite well. However, compared to Wen Tianlu, which had been rooted in the undying realm for countless years, there was still a big gap. Lin Feng was very clear about this. Lin Feng naturally liked Suingran, who was a beautiful woman. When he got her, he could also get help from the power behind her. It was simply killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Lin Feng arranged a place for Suingran to stay. At night, Lin Feng wanted to be the groom. Even if he couldn't be the groom every day, he could be the groom every once in a while. However, Suingran locked the door. She was probably worried that Lin Feng would do something bad to her at night. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't force Suingran. Now, Lin Feng wanted to play the elegant route, making Suingran willingly gallop with him. Therefore, he walked back to his residence. After returning to his residence, Lin Feng planned to see what the 7th layer of the Divine Tao Immortal Palace had. Every time the Divine Tao Immortal Palace opened, good things would appear. Lin Feng was naturally looking forward to it. Lin Feng entered the Divine Tao Immortal Palace and opened the restrictions of the 7th layer. Then, he entered the 7th layer. When he entered the 7th layer, Lin Feng found that there was nothing in the 7th layer. This made Lin Feng very puzzled. Damn, what's going on? Logically speaking, the 7th layer should have some good things, right? Why is there nothing this time? Lin Feng was very puzzled. He was also very depressed. At that moment, a voice suddenly resounded in the 7th layer. The voice said, "Congratulations on entering the 7th layer. Here, you will be able to swim freely in the Great Tao." "Wander your ass," Lin Feng said speechlessly. F***CK, why are you swearing like that?" the other party said unhappily. Lin Feng replied, Sorry, I spoke without thinking. I'm actually a very kind person, and I didn't mean any harm." The other party snorted. Lin Feng asked, "What kind of existence are you? Are they the gods here?" The other party replied, "You can understand it that way. What's so special about the 7th level of the Divine Tao Immortal Palace?" Lin Feng asked doubtfully. Hee. The other party suddenly smiled. Lin Feng felt that the other party's smile was too wretched. Couldn't he be a little more normal? Why do you have to make yourself look so wretched? I despise you. The 7th level of the Divine Tao Immortal Palace is called the Great Tao Palace. Great Tao Palace? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. The name sounded pretty awesome. Lin Feng asked, "What does the Great Tao Immortal Palace do?" "If you cultivate in the Great Tao Immortal Palace, you'll be able to increase your cultivation speed by 10 times. F***CK, is this for real?" Lin Feng cried out in disbelief. "Divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, Das. It wasn't too hard to gain basic mastery, but it was harder to reach minor mastery. The difficulty increased exponentially from minor mastery to major mastery. As for going from major mastery to major mastery, it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Going from major mastery to major mastery was like going from a fantasy. In other words, one could dream of such a thing happening. For example, right now, Lin Feng's many top-tier divine abilities were basically stuck at major mastery. If he wanted to break through again, it was just too difficult. If he cultivated here, he would be able to increase the speed of his divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Tao by tenfold, which would save him a lot of time. The god of the great Tao Immortal Palace continued, increasing the cultivation speed of divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Taoist isn't the most amazing thing about the great Tao Immortal Palace. You should know that the cultivation of divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Taoist is related to many aspects. Of those, the most important is comprehension. Theoretically speaking, when you gain some enlightenment, you'll have a chance to improve your divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Taoist. At that time, 10 times the cultivation speed will save you a lot of time. But the prerequisite is that you gain some enlightenment. If you don't, you won't be able to improve. The Great Tao Palace can also help cultivators gain enlightenment on divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Taoist. Awesome! 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 Lin Feng couldn't help but cry out in surprise. He was extremely excited. The Great Tao Immortal Palace was really awesome. It could help him improve his divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Taoist. Think about it. Even if he didn't break through his own cultivation level, if he broke through his divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Taoist, how many times would his battle power increase? If he broke through his own cultivation level, his divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Taoist would all break through at the same time. How many times would his battle power increase? Lin Feng cultivated in the Great Tao Immortal Palace for a few days. Sure enough, he found that his divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Taoist improved much faster in the Great Tao Immortal Palace. After Lin Feng came out of the Great Tao Immortal Palace, he was very satisfied. After Lin Feng came out of seclusion, Lin Feng received news that someone was looking for him. Lin Feng went to the living room to see the person. Lin Feng found that it was Sui-han. Sui-han, what brings you here? Lin Feng asked with a smile. When Sui-han saw Lin Feng, she quickly got up and threw herself at Lin Feng. She hugged Lin Feng and burst into tears. Lin Feng was shocked by Sui-han's actions. What was wrong with this shrewish girl today? Lin Feng felt that something must have happened. Lin Feng held Sui-han in his arms. If it was in the past, he would definitely take advantage of her. However, Lin Feng was not in the mood today. Sui-han was crying too hard. After crying for a long time, Lin Feng's clothes were wet. Only then did Sui-han stop crying, but she was still sobbing. Lin Feng asked, "What happened?" Sui-han's expression was indescribably miserable. She said, "The goddess palace was annihilated." What? When Lin Feng heard that, his facial expression suddenly changed. The goddess palace was Sui-han's sect, and it was a famous force in the undying realm. It was really shocking that it had been annihilated. The heavenly court did it? Lin Feng asked. Sui-han nodded while crying. What about your senior sister, Muyasi? Lin Feng asked. He had a good relationship with Muyasi, and they could be considered friends. Since the goddess palace was annihilated, Lin Feng was naturally worried about Muyasi's safety. That day, senior sister lured Di Wudao away and won us a chance to survive. Since then, there has been no news of her, Sui-han said sadly. Chapter 55-75. After hearing Sui-han's words, Lin Feng's face turned gloomy. Did Muyasi suffer a calamity? Lin Feng could not help but think of Muyasi's beautiful face. She was so extraordinary and otherworldly. She was like a fairy that descended from the 9 heavens. However, Lin Feng never thought that Mu Yasi would have such a tragic fate one day. It really made those who heard it sad and those who heard it cry. Lin Feng, what should I do now? My senior sister and master are all dead. I'm so sad, Sui Han said while crying. The originally lively and cheerful Sui Han had now become melancholic. It really made people sigh. Some things could change a person's character. Are you the only one here? Lin Feng asked. Sui Han nodded and said, although senior sister lured Di Wudao away, there were still many powerful cultivators chasing after us. In the process of escaping, many senior and junior sisters died tragically. I escaped by myself, but I didn't know where to go. I thought of you, so I came to seek refuge with you. I don't know if I will bring you trouble, but if I will leave now. Sui Han's expression became even more miserable when she said this. Perhaps in her opinion, Lin Feng was her last support. If Lin Feng drove her away, then she really had no way to live. Lin Feng hugged Sui Han in his arms and said, silly girl, what are you thinking? How can I drive you away? You can treat this place as your own home. I will definitely protect you well in the future. I will also kill Di Wudao to avenge your dead fellow disciples and masters. Hearing Lin Feng say this, Sui Han quickly nodded. This little girl seemed to be really tired and sleepy. She directly fell asleep in Lin Feng's arms. Lin Feng carried Sui Han back to the room and then placed her on the bed. Then he left the room. Lin Feng frowned. Even a powerful force like the fairy palace was destroyed. The undying world might soon be completely controlled by the heavenly court. Previously, the undying realm was in a state of separation. That was because the celestial emperor had not broken through. Now that the heavenly emperor had broken through and devoured many of the world origins of the undying realm, plus the heavenly emperor had created the 33 layers of heaven. The current heavenly emperor was too terrifying. Moreover, the heavenly emperor had joined forces with many powerful foreign cultivators. The heavenly emperor already had the strength to regain control of the undying realm. Those who submit to me will prosper, and those who oppose me will perish. However, many forces still wouldn't submit to the Sky Emperor. They were very clear about how ambitious the Sky Emperor was. Once they surrendered, they would only be cannon fodder for the Sky Emperor. Submitting meant death. If he resisted, he might still have a chance of survival. Even if he risked his life, so what? If he took a gamble, he might be able to fight for a bright future. Lin Feng called Du Zhu and Su Yingran over. He told Du Zhu and Su Yingran about the fairy palace. Su Yingran said, it seems that the heavenly court has sped up. That's right. Lin Feng nodded and said, the final battle with the heavenly emperor might happen soon. Su Yingran said, perhaps the Sin realm will become the final battlefield. Lin Feng looked at Du Zhu, took out a jade tube, and handed it to Du Zhu. Lin Feng said, there are many forces recorded here. These forces are more or less related to me. Send an envoy to them and tell them not to fight the heavenly court head-on. The gains won't make up for the losses. If they're willing to come to the Sin realm, they're welcome. Du Zhu said, sir, do you want to gather all the major forces and fight the heavenly emperor to the death? That's right. Lin Feng nodded. All right. I'll send an envoy to these forces and tell them your plan. I'm sure they'll know what to do. Du Zhu said, then quickly left. Lin Feng then looked at Su Yingran and said, Yingran, help me investigate Di Wudao's whereabouts. What do you want to do? Su Yingran asked. Lin Feng said, during the final battle, I want to give the heavenly emperor a great gift. Su Yingran naturally guessed Lin Feng's plan. She said, it's too dangerous. Di Wudao is too terrifying. Lin Feng said, don't worry, I'll definitely kill him. If I can't, then there's no need for me to talk about the final battle with the heavenly emperor. All right, give me 3 days. Su Yingran said. All right. Lin Feng nodded. Su Yingran then left as well. There was an office in the capital of Sin. It wasn't difficult for Su Yingran to gather information. After Su Yingran left, Lin Feng left the living room and walked around the garden alone, thinking about some things. Sir, A surprised voice called out. Lin Feng looked in the direction of the voice. Not too far away, a tall and beautiful woman wearing a pink dress was looking at him. Perhaps it was because of the contrast of the pink dress. It made her look even more alluring. That woman was none other than Shui Yuexin. During this time, Shui Yuexin had been wanting to meet Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng had never met her. Now that he had met her, Lin Feng didn't believe it was a coincidence. Shui Yuexin quickly walked over. When she reached Lin Feng's side, she bowed to Lin Feng. No need for formalities. Lin Feng looked at Shui Yuexin leisurely. Sir Yuexin missed you so much. Shui Yuexin's face was flushed. She was truly beautiful. Especially that shy and coy appearance of hers, it was simply charming to the point of death. Lin Feng had already decided to make a move against Di Wudao. Therefore, he didn't want to continue playing with Shui Yuexin. Of course, Lin Feng knew that Shui Yuexin had no choice. He was probably being controlled by Di Wudao's soul assimilation technique. Lin Feng hoped to use a gentle method to save Shui Yuexin. He couldn't reveal that he already knew that she was being controlled. Otherwise, Di Wudao's trump card might kill Shui Yuexin. Lin Feng said, Yuexin, come, let me hug you. Shui Yuexin blushed slightly but didn't refuse. She snuggled into Lin Feng's embrace. Bang! However, Shui Yuexin had just snuggled into Lin Feng's embrace when Lin Feng knocked her out lightly. Lin Feng carried Shui Yuexin up. After returning to Shui Yuexin's residence, Lin Feng placed Shui Yuexin on the bed. Di Wudao's trump card must have been placed in Shui Yuexin's soul. This way, he could destroy Shui Yuexin anytime. After Lin Feng placed Shui Yuexin on the bed, his powerful spiritual force directly entered Shui Yuexin's mind. You found out. Suddenly, a cold voice was heard. It was Di Wudao's voice. Lin Feng's spiritual force had just entered Shui Yuexin's mind when it was discovered by Di Wudao. Chapter 5576. Di Wudao was indeed powerful. He had instantly discovered Lin Feng's divine sense. This was going to be troublesome. Stall for time. That was Lin Feng's first thought. If he could stall Di Wudao for a while, he might have a chance to save Shui Yuexin. Or else, Shui Yuexin would definitely die. Di Wudao, I really didn't expect you to be reduced to such a state, Lin Feng said. Reduced to such a state? Brat, are you blind? Di Wudao had wanted to destroy Shui Yuexin's soul, but after hearing Lin Feng's words he stopped. His voice also became gloomy. He, Di Wudao, was an extraordinary person. How could Lin Feng say that he was reduced to such a state? Di Wudao. How could he accept such humiliation? Lin Feng said. If you hadn't been reduced to such a state, why would you send a woman to deal with me? You think you can't deal with me, so you send a woman to deal with me, right? Your schemes are all in my head. You're really stupid, I really despise you. Ha ha ha, if you appear next to me, I'll crush you as easily as crushing an ant. Di Wudao sneered when he heard Lin Feng's words. Brat, even though you haven't learned your father's methods, you're much more arrogant than him. You're not strong enough, yet you're still so arrogant. You're an idiot. I'm not strong enough, said Lin Feng mockingly. Di Wudao, you think too highly of yourself. If I wanted to kill you now, it would be as easy as killing a dog. Back in the days, you were my father's dog's servant. Therefore, according to social status, you are also my dog's servant. You're a dog's servant who lives off of me and betrays others. When I see you, I'll kill you. You deserve to die 1,000 times. Di Wudao's cold voice suddenly sounded. Anger. Anger. Di Wudao's fury reached the heavens. No one had ever dared to look down on him like this. But now, Lin Feng actually dared to look down on him like this. Di Wudao was an extremely arrogant person. How could he endure being looked down upon by Lin Feng? Little boy, you won't be able to be arrogant for long. Very soon, Sin City will be destroyed, and you'll be cut to pieces, Di Wudao said coldly. Time to wake up from your daydream, Lin Feng said sarcastically. Di Wudao burst out laughing. Compared to your father, you're a far cry from him. Let's not talk about temperament or strength, just your IQ. Your IQ really makes me anxious. Do you know how foolish you are to provoke me now? I'll let you watch the people around you die one by one, but you can't do anything about it. Let's start with this woman. As soon as he finished speaking, Di Wudao wanted to destroy Shui Yuexin's soul, but the power of destiny suddenly appeared in Shui Yuexin's mind. It even enveloped Shui Yuexin's soul. The appearance of the power of destiny was too sudden. Suddenly, Di Wudao couldn't react in time. When Di Wudao wanted to destroy Shui Yuexin's soul, he realized that he couldn't do it anymore. The power of destiny had wrapped around the imprint that Di Wudao had left in Shui Yuexin's soul. The imprint flew out. I've been tricked, you despicable bastard! Di Wudao's imprint roared furiously. His eyes looked like they were about to spit fire, and an endless amount of murderous intent filled them. He couldn't wait to cut Lin Feng into pieces. Lin Feng sneered. You have the nerve to call others despicable and shameless? How can your skin be so thick? If we're talking about despicable, shouldn't you be the one despicable and shameless one? Besides, it makes sense to use any method to deal with a scum like you. I'll destroy your imprint first, then I'll kill you when I see you again. Lin Feng flicked his finger. A beam of light landed on Di Wudao's imprint. Bang! Di Wudao's imprint immediately shattered. At that moment, Shui Yuexin slowly woke up. When she saw Lin Feng, Shui Yuexin stood up and threw herself into Lin Feng's arms. She said tearfully, Lin Feng, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I was controlled. I didn't want to hurt you. Lin Feng tapped Shui Yuexin's back and said, It's all right. Have a good rest. Shui Yuexin didn't let go of Lin Feng. Instead, she offered her red lips to him. Lin Feng wasn't a gentleman. How could he not eat her when she delivered herself to his door? In the next few days, Lin Feng was more relaxed. He didn't cultivate. He just enjoyed it. Life was something that should be enjoyed when it was time. That day, the Snow Lady came from the mountain village to the capital of Sin. When he saw her, Lin Feng was very happy. She was as beautiful as ever. She obviously missed Lin Feng very much, even though their relationship hadn't reached its final stage yet. However, they were close friends. At night, on the roof, Lin Feng rested his head on his hands and looked at the stars in the sky. The Snow Lady sat down next to Lin Feng and said, I intend to go to the north, said Lin Feng. Why are you going there? Lin Feng asked. I feel like something is calling me, she said. Okay. Lin Feng nodded. This might be the Snow Lady's opportunity. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't stop her. The next day, the Snow Lady left. On the same day, Suinran came and brought Lin Feng news about Di Wudao. Di Wudao was in the Immortal Celestial Domain. The Immortal Celestial Domain was close to the Fairy Palace. The Fairy Palace was located at the border between the Immortal Celestial Domain and the Fairy Palace. Lin Feng planned to go to the Immortal Celestial Domain to kill Di Wudao. On this day, Lin Feng went to the Immortal Celestial Domain alone. Immortal Celestial Domain. Sun Moon City. Many top geniuses gathered here, such as young Master Mingyu, young Master Xingyu, and young Master Shuiyu. Their forces supported Di Wudao to begin with, and now they had become his loyal supporters. Other than these top young masters, there were also many beautiful fairies who attended this gathering. Do you think Muyasi is really dead? A female cultivator asked at the gathering. The gathering, which had been quite lively, instantly quieted down. No one had mentioned Muyasi's name for a long time. Many of the people present had families and forces behind them that had sided with Di Wudao. However, some of them were friends with Muyasi. They were just juniors and couldn't participate in the family matters. However, they hoped that Muyasi was fine. Perhaps she should be dead, young Master Mingyu said. Previously, he had some feelings for Muyasi. However, Muyasi was very noble and didn't pay attention to him. Young Master Xingyu sneered and said, Lord Di Wudao wants to take Muyasi as his concubine, But this woman doesn't know what's good for her. She actually dared to reject Lord Di Wudao. Chapter 55-77. Those who had a good relationship with Mu Yasi could not help but sigh. It seemed that Mu Yasi had truly passed away. She was a peerless fairy. Yet she had died just like that. Their hearts were filled with sorrow. Bang! The door to the private room was kicked open by someone. Everyone looked over and saw a young human cultivator walk in. "Brat, are you courting death?" one of the geniuses said furiously. What kind of status did they have? They were having a gathering here, but someone actually kicked the door of their private room. If this matter were to spread out, they would be in big trouble. All of them would have no face left. They were naturally infuriated. The newcomer's expression was indifferent. He flicked his finger, and a cold light flew out. Pooh! A piercing sound rang out. A bloody hole appeared in the cultivator's head, and he fell to the ground on his back. He was dead. "Brat, who are you? Why did you kill someone the moment you arrived? Brat, you've gone too far. Are you courting death by killing someone here?" One cultivator after another stood up. Regardless of whether they were male or female, they all looked at the newcomer with gloomy eyes. "Hee, young Master Shuiyu, young Master Mingyu, and young Master Xingyu, it's a pleasure to meet you. I didn't expect to meet you here," said the newcomer with a cold smile. Many people were shocked. This newcomer actually knew the three young masters. It seemed that this person's status was extraordinary. "Lin Feng! You've come to the wrong place," said young Master Shuiyu sinisterly. "Lin Feng? He's Lin Baitian's son? The master of Sin Realm, Lin Feng?" Many people were shocked. Now, who in the undying world did not know of Lin Feng's name? As the saying went, who in the world did not know of a monarch? Lin Feng's name had long since shaken the undying world. Lin Feng found a place and sat down. He looked around the private room and said coldly, "I presume that the factions behind you have already submitted to Di Wudao, right? Many of you are famous geniuses, but you've become someone else's slaves. How laughable!" Many people's expressions were gloomy. The factions behind them had chosen to submit to Di Wudao. It was something they could not change. Some people felt that it was the right choice, while others felt extremely sullen. However, they did not dare to casually refute Lin Feng. Lin Feng was too ferocious. Lin Feng is. Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? Is the Sin Domain's master that amazing? Now he was mocking Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at him indifferently and said, "Young Master Shuiyu, I've wanted to kill you for a long time, but I never had the chance. Today is a good opportunity." Young Master Shuiyu looked at Lin Feng disdainfully and said, "You think you can kill me? How laughable! Let me take your head and give it to Sir Di Wudao. Sir Di Wudao will be very happy then." Young Master Shuiyu leaped forward and charged at Lin Feng. He was one of the 8 young masters. Young Master Shuiyu was famous. His cultivation base was very high. Although he was only a young cultivator, his battle prowess could compete with many of the older generation's cultivators. That was why many people looked at Lin Feng indifferently when they saw young Master Shuiyu attack. In their opinion, Lin Feng was dead for sure. Young Master Shuiyu's killing intent surged out of him. He quickly arrived in front of Lin Feng. His killing intent seemed capable of destroying heaven and earth. It directly enveloped Lin Feng. Die. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he lightly tapped the air. Pooh! A cold light flew out and pierced through young Master Shuiyu's head. Fresh blood immediately spurted out. Young Master Shuiyu did not die immediately. He even saw blood spurt out of his forehead. He reached out to block the wound. However, blood continued to flow out. Why is it like this? Why is it like this? Young Master Shuiyu cried out in disbelief. He had always looked down on Lin Feng. He had never placed Lin Feng in his eyes. In his opinion, dealing with Lin Feng was easy. It was as easy as flipping his hand. However, He could not even take a single blow from Lin Feng. He could not accept this. Plop! In the next instant, young Master Shuiyu fell to the ground. He died with his eyes wide open. Dead? Young Master Shuiyu was dead! He was killed without even being able to take a single blow. At this moment, the room was completely silent. Whether it was the geniuses or the fairies, they all looked at Lin Feng as if he was a demon. Lin Feng's reputation. They had heard too much about him. However, they had never imagined that Lin Feng would be so strong and terrifying. Young Master Mingyu, young Master Xingyu. Lin Feng looked at the two of them. Hearing Lin Feng call their names, the two of them hurriedly stood up. They were among the 8 young masters. However, facing Lin Feng, it was like ants facing a dragon. Plop! Plop! Young Master Mingyu and young Master Xingyu actually knelt on the ground. Princess Lin, please spare us. The two of them begged for mercy. No one would believe that young Master Mingyu and young Master Xingyu had knelt down and begged for mercy. However, this had happened before everyone's eyes today. They had no choice but to believe it. Where is Di Wudao? Lin Feng asked coldly. This time, Lin Feng had come to the immortal celestial domain to kill Di Wudao. He wanted to kill Di Wudao, but who would have thought that he wouldn't be able to find Di Wudao? Lin Feng was annoyed. However, Lin Feng was not completely without results. Although he did not find Di Wudao's whereabouts, he found out that a group of geniuses and fairies were gathered here. Young Master Xingyu said, "We don't know." Poof! Lin Feng flicked his finger, and a beam of light instantly pierced through young Master Xingyu's head. Young Master Xingyu fell to the ground. Dead? Young Master Xingyu was also dead. Even the 8 young masters did not have the courage to attack Lin Feng. They were about to be killed in an instant. The remaining geniuses, fairies were all trembling in fear. They did not want to die, but they were worried that Lin Feng would kill them as well. Young Master Mingyu quickly cowed out and begged for mercy, saying, "Lin Gongzi, I really don't know where Di Wudao is, but I know where Muyasi is." "Oh? You know where Muyasi is? Muyasi is still alive?" Lin Feng's face lit up with joy. Chapter 5578. At this moment, in order to survive. How could young Master Mingwei dare to hide anything from Lin Feng? He would definitely tell him everything he knew. Young Master Mingwei said, "Yes, Muyasi isn't dead yet. She escaped to the Eternal Demon Cave. That place is really dangerous, and Di Wudao is there too. He chased after her, but in the end, he retreated. I don't know what the situation is now." Pooh! As soon as young Master Mingwei finished speaking, Lin Feng stretched out his hand, and a beam of light instantly pierced through young Master Mingyue's head. Young Master Mingwei fell to the ground. His body twitched violently, and his eyes were fixed on Lin Feng. He originally thought that when he revealed these secrets, Lin Feng would let him live. But Lin Feng didn't do that. Young Master Mingwei was such an amazing person. He wasn't willing to die like this. But, so what if he wasn't willing to die? Lin Feng wasn't the kind of person who would let a tiger return to the mountain. The others were already trembling with fear. They were all silent. Their faces were pale. Lin Feng's methods were really too terrifying. It was simply too despairing. 3 of the 8 outstanding figures had actually all fallen. If this news spread, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. We really had no choice. "Lin Gongzi, please spare our lives." Many people knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. These people were all geniuses of the heavens, goddesses of the heavens. They were high and mighty, looking down on the heavens. They were so powerful and extraordinary that they were praised by countless people. But now, in front of Lin Feng, they were like ants. "The heavenly court will be destroyed. Persuade the higher-ups of your families not to be stubborn. Otherwise, they will definitely be annihilated," Lin Feng said indifferently. If Lin Feng hadn't killed the 3 super geniuses and said this before, everyone would have snorted disdainfully. But now, who would dare to do that? Now, everyone was incomparably convinced by Lin Feng's words. In their hearts, Lin Feng was like a god, a devil, an immortal, and a saint. In their hearts, they were already deeply convinced. Lin Feng didn't stay any longer. He quickly left. Half a month later, Lin Feng arrived at the Eternal Devil Cave. The Eternal Devil Cave was a famous land of death in the Immortal Heaven domain. The Eternal Demon Cave was located deep within a black mountain range. From afar, one could see that the black mountain range was shrouded in a terrifying aura of death. It was rumored the Eternal Demon Cave had buried no less than 10 top demonic path powerhouses. After these top demonic path powerhouses died, their magnetic fields superimposed upon each other, changing the world laws of the Eternal Demon Cave. Thus, the current Eternal Devil Cave was incomparably dangerous. If a cultivator didn't enter the Eternal Demon Cave, then it was fine. If anyone dared to enter the Eternal Demon Cave, they would be able to escape. It was very likely that he would die. Back then, she had lured Di Wudao away in order to win a chance of survival for the other members of the sect. One could imagine the extent of her despair at that time. As soon as he entered the Eternal Demon Cave. Thinking of this, Lin Feng's killing intent was monstrous. Di Wudao. He had to die. In the past, there would definitely be many cultivators here to admire the Eternal Devil Cave's peerless glory. But with the current situation, who would have the mood to do so? As far as the eye could see, there was no one here. Where was Di Wudao? Lin Feng shouted. Di Wudao, come out and die! When Lin Feng's shout rang out, whoosh! 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 More than a dozen figures flew out of the forest. These people had all hidden themselves before this. They only came out when they heard Lin Feng's shout. Moreover, Lin Feng discovered that these people were all true immortals. Their auras were deep and terrifying. So many true immortals? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. He felt that something was wrong. Could these people have been lying in ambush in order to stop Muyasi? Brat, who are you? How dare you be so disrespectful to young Master Di Wudao? A skinny middle-aged cultivator said in a sinister tone. You shouldn't be from the Undying Realm, right? Lin Feng didn't answer, but asked instead. It was actually quite easy to determine that these people weren't from the Undying Realm. The Undying Realm lacked peerless experts, and these people in front of him were all very powerful. They definitely weren't from the Undying Realm. The thin cultivator said. You have some foresight. That's right, we're not from the Undying Realm. We're cultivators from the Celestial Realm. Hee, did Di Wudao's father send you here? Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and asked. The group was slightly stunned, and then their expressions darkened. Whether it was the Undying Realm or the Celestial Realm, there were rumors that Di Wudao wasn't the Celestial Emperor's son. That Celestial Emperor had cheated on his disciple. Thus, Di Wudao was born. As for which Celestial Emperor it was, the outside world didn't know, and they didn't dare to guess. That was a Celestial Emperor, and he represented the will of the Heavenly Tao. If they dared to guess the Celestial Emperor's identity, wouldn't they be courting death? However, no matter which Celestial Emperor it was, everyone seemed to believe this rumor. Di Wudao. He was the Celestial Emperor's son. These people naturally knew that Lin Feng was mocking Di Wudao's background and the Celestial Emperor. They had indeed been sent by the Celestial Emperor to assist Di Wudao. Their souls had already been sold to the Celestial Emperor. Therefore, they definitely wouldn't allow anyone to insult the Celestial Emperor. Kill him, the thin cultivator said coldly. The group of experts revealed murderous intent, and they all charged towards Lin Feng. Kill! Lin Feng's voice was cold. He raised his right hand and a dazzling sword chi shot out. That sword chi seemed to be able to destroy everything. Pfft! The sound of something being torn apart suddenly rang out. One cultivator after another was killed. Only the thin cultivator was left unkilled by Lin Feng. This was intentional on Lin Feng's part. He still wanted to ask this person some questions. Spare me! Spare me, young master! Seeing Lin Feng's tyrannical strength, The thin cultivator was almost scared to death. "Tell me what I ask you," Lin Feng said indifferently. "I will definitely tell you the truth, young master," the thin cultivator hurriedly said. Lin Feng sneered inwardly. Just a moment ago, he still looked incomparably loyal to the Celestial Emperor. In the blink of an eye, his attitude had changed greatly. It was truly laughable. For some people, they were filled with loyalty to their master. They would rather die than submit. But for some other cultivators, what was loyalty? It was just empty talk. For example, this cultivator in front of him was like this. Lin Feng really thought that they were incomparably loyal to the Celestial Emperor. But now, it was truly laughable. Lin Feng looked at the thin cultivator kneeling on the ground and asked coldly, "Is Mu Jiaxi still inside?" Chapter 5579. The skinny cultivator hurriedly said, "She's inside. We've been waiting for her to come out on her own, but she never did." "Where's Di Wudao?" Lin Feng asked. "I don't know what he's doing either. Most of the time, he's very secretive. Nobody knows where he is." "Even we don't know where he is," said Lin Feng. "If that's the case, then you're no longer of much use. You can die now." Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he tapped the skinny cultivator's forehead. "Pooh!" The skinny cultivator's forehead was pierced, and his corpse fell to the ground. Lin Feng flew towards the mountain range. The mountain range was covered in restrictions. It was extremely terrifying. Many of the restrictions made Lin Feng feel that they were difficult to deal with. However, Lin Feng had the stone scripture's protection. No matter how terrifying the restrictions were, they couldn't hurt Lin Feng. Lin Feng went deeper into the mountain range. Half an hour later, he finally arrived outside the Eternal Cave of Demons. Outside the Eternal Cave of Demons, the atmosphere was gloomy and terrifying. Lin Feng didn't hesitate at all. He directly walked into the depths of the Eternal Cave of Demons. The passage was very long and wide. As he walked, he could hear his footsteps echoing in the passage. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt a gloomy and terrifying aura envelop his body. Lin Feng looked ahead. He immediately saw pairs of blood-red eyes staring coldly at him. Lin Feng took out the epic war spear. At this moment, the monsters quickly flew towards Lin Feng. They directly pounced towards Lin Feng. When the monsters got closer, Lin Feng's expression changed. The reason for that was because he saw that those monsters were all bats. However, they weren't ordinary bats. They were stone bats. Could they be from the stone race? Lin Feng's heart couldn't help but tremble. Creatures from the stone clan, what kind of terrifying existences were they? If it really was a creature from the stone clan, then it would be terrifying. Lin Feng did not dare to be careless. He waved his epic war spear and swept it at the stone bats. Clang, clang, clang. Clang, clang, clang. A series of clanging sounds could be heard. The strength of the stone bats was extraordinary. Lin Feng's epic war spear was unable to harm those stone bats. Even though they were sent flying by Lin Feng's epic war spear, they were not injured. It was extremely strange. After those stone bats were sent flying by Lin Feng's epic war spear, they would continue to attack Lin Feng. This was the Eternal Demon Cave. If this continued, it would be extremely disadvantageous for Lin Feng. Therefore, he had to end the battle quickly. However, Lin Feng couldn't think of a solution at the moment. "You can use your stone golem clone to deal with the stone bats. The avatar cultivates the stone man's 9 transformations immortal scripture, so it's very effective against stone creatures." At the moment of crisis, the demon lord transmitted his voice to Lin Feng. "Okay." Lin Feng nodded. Then, he summoned his stone golem clone. After the stone golem clone was summoned by Lin Feng, it began to move. It immediately activated the stone golem 9 transformations immortal scripture. As the stone golem 9 transformations immortal scripture circulated, a terrifying pressure surged out from the stone golem clone's body. The pressure directly enveloped the group of stone bats. That terrifying pressure directly suppressed the body of the stone bat. After the stone bats felt such pressure, they actually became restless. The stone bats didn't dare to continue attacking Lin Feng, and they quickly flew away. In the blink of an eye, they all disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng let out a long breath. Indeed, there was always something to overcome something else. Lin Feng stored the stone golem clone in the space-time continuum. Then, he continued to walk deeper. After experiencing the battle with the stone bats, Lin Feng was even more careful. As he went deeper into the Eternal Demon Cave, Lin Feng felt a terrifying magnetic field enveloping his body. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown when he sensed the magnetic field. It seemed that the rumors in the outside world were true. It was very likely that a large number of experts had died in this place, which was why such a terrifying magnetic field was formed. Facing such a powerful magnetic field, Lin Feng didn't dare to be careless. Lin Feng continued to walk deeper. About a quarter of an hour had passed. Lin Feng arrived at the deepest part of the Eternal Demon Cave. The deepest part of the cave was a huge mountain. Inside the mountain, there was an ancient golden bell. Apart from that, there was nothing else. After seeing the ancient bell, Lin Feng's heart couldn't help but tremble slightly. Could it be that the ancient bell was summoned by Muyasi? Thinking of this, Lin Feng walked towards the ancient bell. However, at this time, the ancient bell emitted a violent fluctuation. Lin Feng was pushed back by the strength of the attack. Asked Lin Feng, "Celestial Mu, are you in there?" There was no response from the bell. Lin Feng continued to try to get closer to the ancient bell. To Lin Feng's delight, the ancient bell didn't send him flying this time. Moreover, it didn't attack Lin Feng. Lin Feng lifted the ancient bell. He saw a woman was sitting cross-legged with her eyes closed. That woman was none other than Muyasi. Seeing that Muyasi was still alive, Lin Feng's face was filled with joy. Previously, he was extremely worried that Muyasi had met with a calamity. Fortunately, such a thing didn't happen. However, Lin Feng found that Muyasi didn't seem to show any signs of waking up. This made Lin Feng extremely puzzled. "Fairy Mu, wake up," Lin Feng called out. Muyasi still didn't show any signs of movement. This place was dangerous. Lin Feng planned to bring Muyasi out of here first. Thus, Lin Feng stored Muyasi and her magic treasures into his space-time pocket. Then, Lin Feng quickly rushed outside. However, at this time, Lin Feng encountered a calamity. An invisible force ruthlessly bombarded Lin Feng, sending Lin Feng flying. Lin Feng hadn't even stabilized himself yet when the invisible and intangible strength bombarded him again. Bang! Accompanied by a violent collision, Lin Feng was sent flying again. This time, the situation seemed to be more serious than the previous time. Lin Feng's body slammed into the rock wall. Lin Feng only felt his blood and qi churning, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Lin Feng knew that this invisible force definitely couldn't be born from nothingness. Perhaps, there was an unknown and terrifying existence in this place. Otherwise, Muyasi wouldn't have taken out that magic treasure to protect herself. "Don't you have the courage to show yourself, coward?" Lin Feng coldly said. "Keek keek." At this time, a sinister sound resounded in the belly of the mountain. That sound was so terrifying that it sounded like a voice from hell. Chapter 5580. It's one thing to trespass into the Eternal Demon Cave, but you actually dare to boast shamelessly here? You're really courting death. A cold voice suddenly rang out. After hearing that voice, Lin Feng's expression became more and more serious. The other party still hadn't shown up. That terrifying existence still hadn't shown up. This was an extremely troublesome matter. Lin Feng said, "Let me guess who you are. You should be trapped in this place. You're not a cultivator from the outside, and you're not even human or living. Are you a Yin spirit left behind by a powerhouse who died? Thinking about it carefully, that doesn't seem to be the case. The aura of a Yin spirit is a bit strange. If you're a yin spirit, you shouldn't be able to hide from me. Since you're not a yin spirit, then what are you? Maybe an evil spirit? Or some other kind of existence? No matter what it is, it's definitely related to the dead cultivators and the magnetic field. After all, the magnetic field here is so strong that it wouldn't be strange if it could give birth to some strange existence. The unknown existence sneered. Haha, I have to say that you're a meticulous person. Not bad, not bad. Lin Feng asked. It seems that you don't want to kill me. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to talk nonsense with me. Boy, it's not impossible for you to live, but you have to promise me one thing. The unknown existence said. What is it? Tell me. Lin Feng said indifferently. Whoosh. There was a flash of light, and something appeared in the void. Lin Feng discovered that it was a sealed scroll. Lin Feng took the scroll and tried to open it, but he couldn't do it. Don't waste your time. This scroll isn't for you to see, so you can't open it. The unknown existence said. What do you want me to do? Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and asked. Give this scroll to the great bright jade complete heaven of the heaven world. The unknown existence said. The heaven world's 33 layers of heaven. Each layer was different, and each layer had a powerhouse at the level of a Sky Lord. These were the legendary 33 heavens and 33 Sky Lords. The 33 heavens were divided into 4 major heavens. The 4 great heavens were the 6 heavens of the Desire Realm, the 18 heavens of the Color Realm, the 4 heavens of the Colorless Realm, the 4 heavens of the Brahma Realm, and the 3 clear heavens. Among them, the 6 heavens of the Desire Realm included Supreme Emperor Huangxing Heaven, Supreme Bright Jade Complete Heaven, Qi Ming He Tong Heaven, Mysterious Embryo Ping Yu Heaven, Yuan Ming Wen Ju Heaven, and 7 planets Moi Heaven. The 18 heavens of the Color Realm included the Shiwu Yueheng Heaven, Tai Chi Veil Heaven, Qi Ming He Yang Heaven, Xian Ming Gong Hua Heaven, Yao Ming Zong Piao Heaven, Zhuluo Huang Jia Heaven, Xian Ming Teng Yao Heaven, Guan Ming Duan Jing Heaven, Xian Ming Gong Qing Heaven, Tai Huan Extreme Jade Heaven, Yuan Zai Kong Xing Heaven, Taiyan Emperor Cliff Heaven, Xian Ding Extreme Wind Heaven, Shi Huang Xiao Mang Heaven, Tai Huan Wing Chong Heaven, Wu Si River Yu Heaven, Shanli Ruan Le Heaven, and Wu Ji Tan Vao Heaven. The colorless heavens 4 heavens included Hao Ting Heaven's Xiao Du Heaven, Yuan Tong Heaven's Origin Cave Heaven, Han Chong Miao Ching Heaven, and Xiao Le Forbidden Heaven. The 4 Brahma heavens included the unparalleled Changrong Heavens, Yulong Ting Heavens, Dragon Transformation Heavens, and Ping Yu Jiai Heavens. The 3 pure heavens included the Great Pure Heavens, the Great Pure Heavens, the Great Pure Heavens, and the Jade Pure Heavens. The Great Bright Jade Complete Heaven that the unknown existence asked Lin Feng to give the scroll to was one of the Sky Lords of 6 Desires Heaven. In fact, the 33 heavens and 33 Sky Lords had been passed down from generation to generation. Now, it had been passed down to the 9th generation. Cultivators in the outside world knew very little about the 33 heavens and 33 Sky Lords. However, there were a few existences that many people had heard of. They were the 3 pure heavens. The 3 pure heavens were the highest ranked 3rd heavens among the 33 heavens. Lin Feng had cultivated the supreme divine power of 1 Qi into 3 pure heavens, which was passed down by the 3 pure heavens. Their status was supreme. Besides, Lin Feng also practiced the primitive celestial scriptures. The primeval Lord of Heaven once controlled the Jade Pure Heavens. Among the 3 pure heavens, their status was extremely respected. The 3 pure heavens belonged to the first generation of Sky Lords. However, it was unknown whether the Sky Lords after 9 generations were related to the 3 pure heavens. Lin Feng was someone who opposed the 33 Sky Lords. If he sent the scroll over, who knew what would happen? However, there seemed to be no other choice. Lin Feng asked, "Why do you think I can send the scroll over?" The unknown existence replied, "Intuition. I've always trusted my own intuition." "All right, I can promise you that," Lin Feng said. "You're a smart person, and you've made a smart decision," the unknown existence replied. Lin Feng couldn't help but slander the unknown existence in his heart. I don't want to agree. However, the situation was critical, and Lin Feng had no choice but to agree even if he didn't want to. Lin Feng asked, "Can I leave now?" "Yes," the unknown existence replied. Lin Feng left the eternal demon cave. Lin Feng let out a long breath. He couldn't help but think, although I promise you, I don't have to go myself. I can find someone else to send the scroll over. However, as soon as this thought appeared in his mind, Lin Feng realized that something was wrong. He hurriedly looked at the scroll and carefully sensed it. Some information was transmitted to Lin Feng. Agreed time, 100 years. Mission, hand the scroll over to Great Bright Jade Complete Heaven. If the time is up and you haven't completed anything, the person who accepts the mission will die a horrible death. After sensing this information, Lin Feng felt the power of a curse envelop his body. Damn! A curse! Lin Feng couldn't help but cry out in alarm. Then, he became flustered and exasperated. That bastard had schemed so deeply. He had secretly used a curse on Lin Feng. He couldn't even get someone to send the scroll over. He had no choice but to send it over himself. Otherwise, once the curse was activated, it could very well take his little life. The Demon Lord said, "This time, I'm afraid it bodes ill rather than well. After all, if you hand the scroll over to Great Bright Jade Complete Heaven, Great Bright Jade Complete Heaven might try to kill you." Lin Feng smiled bitterly and nodded. He had indeed thought of this. Putting aside the fact that he was an enemy of the 33 heavens, he had already thought of this. Now, there was only the matter of sending the scroll over. Lin Feng could sense that the unknown existence in the eternal demon cave was filled with hatred towards Great Bright Jade Complete Heaven. The two of them might have a great enmity. If he helped the unknown existence in the eternal demon cave deliver the scroll, the other party would definitely not let him off. However, since he had already formed a curse contract, no matter how dangerous it was, he had to deliver the scroll to Great Bright Jade Complete Heaven. "We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm sure there'll be a solution." Lin Feng didn't stay any longer. He quickly flew outside. Chapter 5581. After coming out of the Eternal Demon Cave, Lin Feng found a secluded cave to hide in. He summoned Mu Yasi out of the space-time continuum. Seeing her pale face, Lin Feng was naturally worried about her. However, Lin Feng discovered that her complexion seemed to be gradually recovering. It was much better than when he had first seen her. Lin Feng couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief. Now, all he had to do was wait and see if Mu Yasi would wake up on her own. If she couldn't wake up on her own, then he would try to wake her up when the time came. Time passed. The next day, Mu Yasi's long eyelashes suddenly fluttered. At this time, Lin Feng had just finished cultivating. His body had completely recovered. Lin Feng looked at Mu Yasi and saw that her eyes were slightly trembling. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng's face revealed an incomparably pleasantly surprised expression. About a quarter of an hour later, Mu Yasi finally opened her eyes. When she opened them, she saw a familiar face. "Lin Feng, it's you!" After seeing Lin Feng, Mu Yasi was extremely happy. She was a smart person, and she knew that she had escaped. In addition, seeing Lin Feng here, she guessed that Lin Feng had saved her. In her heart, she was naturally filled with gratitude towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Are you surprised to see me here? Are you surprised?" Mu Yasi was naturally a little surprised. She said, "I originally thought that I would die without a doubt, but I didn't expect to be rescued by you. How did you know that I was trapped in the Eternal Demon Cave?" "Of course it was because I missed you so much that I tried to find out where you were. That's how I found out you were trapped in the Cave of Eternal Demons, so I went in and rescued you," said Lin Feng. Lin Feng said with a smile. Mu Yasi had no experience in relationships, after all, so when she heard Lin Feng's blunt words, she could not help but feel her face heat up. Her beautiful face blushed a little. Such a beautiful person's bashful look was really mesmerizing. Although Lin Feng and Mu Yasi had known each other for a long time, they didn't develop a close relationship. On the other hand, Lin Feng and Mu Yasi's junior sister, Suihan, had a rather ambiguous relationship. Now that Mu Yasi's sect had undergone a huge change and countless people had died tragically, she was still very sad. However, Lin Feng had risked his life to save her, which made her very touched. Therefore, the way she looked at Lin Feng now was different from before. "Young master, do you know how my sect is doing?" asked Mu Yasi. At the mention of this matter, Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. He said, "The goddess palace has been destroyed. I'm afraid very few people have escaped." Hearing Lin Feng's words, Mu Yasi's heart was filled with sorrow, and she secretly cried. No matter how peerless she was, people had feelings. Mu Yasi naturally couldn't accept these things. However, this world was too cruel. There were many times. Many things. These were things that the people involved couldn't control. Lin Feng knew that Mu Yasi and Suihan had a very good relationship. Although the two were only senior and junior sisters, they were as close as real sisters. Thus, Lin Feng said, "Suihan, that little girl's luck is not bad. She successfully escaped and came to Sin Domain. I arranged for her to stay there." After hearing about Suihan, Mu Yasi's pale face finally regained some color. She asked, "Other than junior sister Su, is there no one else?" Lin Feng said, "Maybe there is. Maybe they broke out from other places." Mu Yasi also knew that this was Lin Feng's words to persuade her. Although she was sad, she kept telling herself to pull herself together. Only by pulling herself together and becoming stronger would she have a chance to take revenge. If not, then she would never have a chance to take revenge. Lin Feng followed Mu Yasi to the ancestral ground of the goddess palace. Originally, this place was filled with immortal energy and auspicious clouds. It was a famous cultivation holy land. Countless people dreamed of joining the goddess palace. But now, in just a short period of time, this place had become a place filled with yin energy and death energy. It was truly terrifying. Anyone who came here would feel a chill down their spine. After arriving here, Mu Yasi cried again. Although she told herself that she had to be strong, when she saw that the sect she grew up in was in such a state, and thought of her family, fellow disciples, and teachers who had died tragically here, her heart was filled with grief. "Boo hoo hoo hoo!" Mu Yasi squatted on the ruins and cried. Her shoulders were trembling violently. The sadness in her heart was indescribable. At this moment, about 100 cultivators flew over from afar. These cultivators surrounded Lin Feng and Mu Yasi. Someone smiled coldly and said, "Master Di Wu Dao is indeed a genius. He knew that there would be survivors of the goddess palace coming back. Today, 2 of them really came." Lin Feng sneered. So it was Di Wu Dao's people. They were a group of people who deserved to die. Lin Feng was about to kill these people when Mu Yasi said, "Lin Gongzi, leave these people to me." Mu Yasi needed to vent the hatred in her heart. Otherwise, she felt that she would definitely go crazy. Lin Feng nodded and did not interfere in this matter. Mu Yasi stood up and charged toward the crowd. "This girl is actually so beautiful. Brothers, it's a pity to kill her directly. Why don't we capture her and have some fun? It won't be too late to kill her after we've had enough fun," a cultivator said. "Ha ha ha ha! That's a good suggestion. We didn't even dare to think about such a top-grade woman in the past." Then, someone else agreed. They were really a group of people who were completely blinded by lust. At this moment, Mu Yasi rushed into the crowd. These cultivators originally wanted to capture Mu Yasi, but they soon realized how foolish their thoughts were. Mu Yasi was like the reincarnation of a female saint. She was really too terrifying. She killed her way into the crowd as if there was no one around her. Many cultivators were killed one after another. "Mu Yasi! She's Mu Yasi!" At this time, someone recognized Mu Yasi and immediately cried out in horror. Although Mu Yasi was no match for Di Wu Dao, it would be a piece of cake for her to kill all of them. Chapter 5582. Run! Hurry up and run! We'll be dead if we don't! Many cultivators cried out in horror. They were not fools and knew that Muyasi was powerful. It was impossible for them to deal with her with their means. Only death awaited them if they stayed here. The only thing they could do now was to run as far away as possible. Otherwise, they might really die without a burial ground. Alas, how could Muyasi give them the chance to escape? Muyasi immediately froze the void. Then, she took out a sword and walked toward those people with the sword in her hand. She killed the cultivators one after another with her sword. Many people could not help but show a look of despair. They loudly begged for mercy, hoping that Muyasi would spare their lives. However, she did not care about their pleas. Who would pity the fairy palace's cultivators? Who would spare the cultivators of the fairy palace? No one. No one would do that. Before long, over 100 cultivators were killed by Muyasi. Muyasi's expression turned cold as she looked at the dead cultivators. Ever since the fairy palace suffered a great change, Muyasi had completely changed. In the past, she was a peerless fairy who was carefree and carefree. Now, she had too much hatred in her heart. At this moment, a violent fluctuation came from the depths of the palace. Lin Feng and Muyasi were alarmed, and their faces were filled with shock. The two soared into the sky and quickly flew toward the depths of the palace, wanting to see the situation there. It was not very likely. Lin Feng and Muyasi arrived at the depths of the palace and saw a distorted vortex above an abandoned palace. Lin Feng didn't know where that vortex led to. When he saw it, he couldn't help but frown. That vortex gave Lin Feng a dangerous feeling. Muyasi suggested, "Shall we go in and take a look?" Lin Feng nodded. It would be a pity if they did not go in to take a look at such an opportunity. So what if it was dangerous? Even if it was dangerous, it was worth going in to explore. Hence, Lin Feng and Muyasi flew toward the vortex and entered it in an instant. After Lin Feng and Muyasi entered the whirlpool, Lin Feng and Muyasi entered. The whirlpool quickly disappeared. At the same time, a light flashed before their eyes. Lin Feng and Muyasi realized that they had entered a gigantic cave. They walked toward the depths of the cave. There was an altar in the deepest part of the cave. Lin Feng and Muyasi were shocked to see a person sitting cross-legged on the altar. The person sitting cross-legged was a middle-aged woman. However, the middle-aged woman's face was ugly. Of course, this was not the most important thing. Most importantly, a middle-aged woman had appeared in such a space. This matter was too strange. Lin Feng nodded and said, "That's indeed possible." The two walked toward the middle-aged woman. They kept getting closer to her, but at this moment, Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. This was because he sensed something strange. There was a trace of fluctuation coming from the middle-aged woman. Although it was very weak, Lin Feng still sensed it. Muyasi seemed to have sensed it as well, and her beautiful eyes widened at once. "Senior, are you still alive?" she asked in surprise. "Yes." Lin Feng nodded and said, "The situation is unclear, so don't act rashly for the time being. Let's wait and see." Muyasi nodded. Then, they began to wait. In fact, they did not wait for long. About half a quarter of an hour later, the middle-aged woman opened her eyes. The middle-aged woman was actually still alive. It seemed that she had cultivated a divine ability like the tortoise breathing technique. That was why she gave people the feeling that she was dead earlier. The middle-aged woman's eyes were very turbid, and Lin Feng could not help but raise his brows slightly when he saw her eyes. The middle-aged woman glanced at Lin Feng before looking at Muyasi. She asked, "What's your name? Are you from the fairy palace?" Muyasi replied, "This junior is called Muyasi, and I'm indeed from the fairy palace. May I know if senior is an ancestor of the fairy palace?" The middle-aged woman asked. "I can't be considered an ancestor, but I can be considered a member of the fairy palace." "How is the fairy palace now?" When the middle-aged woman mentioned the fairy palace's current situation, tears welled up in Muyasi's eyes again. She was truly heartbroken. She said, "The fairy palace has been destroyed." "What? The fairy palace has been destroyed? How is that possible?" the middle-aged woman exclaimed in disbelief. Mu Yasi continued to cry. "It's true. The heavenly court has destroyed the fairy palace. *******************************************************************************************************e The middle-aged woman cursed angrily. Her gaze was extremely gloomy, and her face was ugly to begin with. Now, coupled with her furious gaze, it made her look even more hideous and ugly. "I will definitely destroy the heavenly court and tear them to shreds. I will avenge the fairy palace," the middle-aged woman said hatefully. She then looked at Mujasi and asked, "How many members of the fairy palace are still alive?" "This junior isn't particularly sure, but based on the information I received, there shouldn't be many survivors," Muyasi said sorrowfully. The middle-aged woman said, "This is an absolutely irreconcilable hatred." She then continued, "Yasi, come here. Let me take a good look at you." Muyasi felt a little strange when she heard the middle-aged woman's words. However, she did not think too much about it. She nodded and walked toward the middle-aged woman. At this moment, a cold glint flashed in the depths of the middle-aged woman's eyes. However, she hid it very well, so no one noticed it. "Yasi, wait a moment." Lin Feng's voice rang out. "What's wrong?" "Lin Gongzi." Mu Yasi looked at Lin Feng in puzzlement. She did not know why Lin Feng had called out to her. Lin Feng said, "It's nothing. I just feel that this woman isn't as simple as she seems on the surface. It's better to be on guard against people." Mu Yasi's expression changed slightly when she heard Lin Feng's words. She naturally trusted Lin Feng. Since Lin Feng had said so, he might have discovered something suspicious. Thus, she nodded and stood where she was without taking another step forward. Chapter 5583. "Brat, what do you mean by that?" The middle-aged woman seemed to have been angered by Lin Feng's words. Her expression was cold as she looked at Lin Feng gloomily. Lin Feng said, "Senior, please don't be angry. I don't mean anything by it. I just feel that sometimes it's better to be careful," said the middle-aged woman coldly. "If that's the case, are you suspecting me?" Lin Feng said. "Suspecting you? Why would I suspect you? Senior, could it be that there's something shameful that's worth my suspicion? What a sharp-tongued brat. No matter how glib your tongue is, you won't be able to change one thing," the middle-aged woman said. Lin Feng asked curiously, "What is it?" The middle-aged woman said, "You're trying to sow discord between me and Yasi. What are you trying to do?" Lin Feng could not help but be speechless. He said, "You're wrong. I don't need to sow discord between you two because my relationship with Mu Yasi is definitely much closer than yours with her." Mu Yasi could also tell that Lin Feng was targeting the middle-aged woman. This made her extremely puzzled, as she did not know why Lin Feng was doing this. Mu Yasi asked, "What did you see?" Lin Feng said, "Actually, I don't know who this woman is, and I don't know if she has any ill intentions towards us, but I still don't want you to come into contact with her because I saw something unusual in her eyes." "Oh? What do you mean?" Mu Yasi asked in confusion. Lin Feng said, "It's said that the eyes are the window to the soul. Look at my eyes. Aren't they very clean? This shows that I'm an incomparably pure person." Mu Yasi spat softly after hearing Lin Feng's words. "You really have the nerve to say that you're a pure person. All you do is flirt with women." Of course, she did not say these words out loud in the end. Lin Feng continued, "But look at the middle-aged woman in front of you. Her eyes are cloudy, and this kind of cloudiness gives people a very uncomfortable feeling. Old people's eyes are cloudy because they are about to die. Young man, middle-aged man's eyes are cloudy. As far as I know, there are several reasons for this. First, they harbor evil intentions. Second, indulge too much. Third, he might have suffered from an eye disease. I excluded the third point." "Why did I exclude the third point?" It's completely an intuition. I have a feeling that this woman's heart isn't in the right place, and she's the type of woman who indulges too much. Muyasi did not know what to say. She originally wanted to ask Lin Feng why he ruled out the third point, but since Lin Feng said that it was his intuition, the answer would probably be the same even if she asked. In fact, Muyasi had long noticed the middle-aged woman's turbid eyes. That gaze made her feel a little uncomfortable, but she did not think too much about it. From the looks of it now, things might not be as simple as they had imagined. Those turbid eyes were actually filled with secrets. Brat, do you think that you can judge what kind of person I am with just your conjecture? How laughable! The middle-aged woman looked coldly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng shrugged. You know that my friends believe you, don't you? The middle-aged woman's eyes were extremely gloomy, and she let out a sinister laugh. Her laughter was so unpleasant that it sounded like the laughter of a malicious spirit. The middle-aged woman said, What a meticulous brat! That's right, you've guessed correctly? You're not from my fairy palace? Asked Muyasi with an ugly expression. She was naturally furious after being deceived. The middle-aged woman replied, Of course I am. Following that, an extremely sinister expression appeared on her face. Although I'm from your fairy palace, I hate it very much, Lin Feng said. It seems that you've been imprisoned here, but the destruction of your fairy palace has caused the seal here to loosen, giving you a chance to escape. However, you won't be able to escape with your own strength, so you want to borrow our hands to escape, right? The middle-aged woman looked coldly at Lin Feng and said, You've guessed wrong this time. Although I can't escape now, I'll be able to escape very soon. I don't need your help to escape. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. Muyasi asked curiously, Then, why did you trick us into coming here? Do you want to hear my story? Asked the middle-aged woman instead of answering. I'd like to hear the details, asked Lin Feng. The middle-aged woman continued, I've been ugly since I was young, so many men would stay far away from me. Later on, I joined the fairy palace by chance. The fairy palace is filled with beautiful fairies, but I'm the only one who's unbearably ugly. I've seen many outstanding geniuses trying to woo the fairies of the fairy palace, but when they saw me, they avoided me like snakes and scorpions. I hate it. Why does everyone treat me like this? Is it just because I'm ugly? Muyasi replied. A cultivator's focus is on improving their cultivation, not on their appearance. The middle-aged woman said angrily, You're a natural beauty, so of course you can say such things. However, you shouldn't be saying such things to me. You're just standing there and talking. You can't understand how I feel. You can't understand how much I want to have a perfect face, said Lin Feng mockingly. I think you're just unwilling to be left out and want to be the center of attention, right? Especially the center of attention for men, said the middle-aged woman. That's right, I don't deny this. I like men, strong men, and beautiful men. Even in my dreams, I'm always in love with 100 men. Muyasi could not help but feel disgusted by the middle-aged woman's words. She was a pure woman, so she naturally could not bear to hear such things. Lin Feng said, You're awesome, said the middle-aged woman. However, I can't get those men, so I started looking for a powerful technique to pluck them dry. It doesn't matter if the men I fancy don't like me. If they don't like me, I'll use this technique to suck all their young energy dry. When Lin Feng heard that, he couldn't help but shiver. This woman is too disgusting. You're a disciple of the fairy palace. How can you do such a thing? Said Muyasi with an ugly expression. The middle-aged woman's words had a huge impact on her, and she could not accept it at all. Chapter 55-84. The woman's actions were indeed hard to accept. Even though she was a promiscuous woman, she wouldn't do such things, right? However, she had done such things. The goddess palace represented holiness. At least, that was what the cultivators of the goddess palace thought. Therefore, when Muyasi heard what the woman had done, the impact on her heart was indescribable. Lin Feng said. It's not your fault that you're ugly, but it's your fault for coming out and scaring people. The woman was born ugly, so she naturally hated it when people talked about her appearance. Now that she heard Lin Feng mocking her, she was instantly infuriated. She looked coldly at Lin Feng and licked her lips. If Mu Yasi were to do such a thing, she would definitely be incomparably charming. However, the woman's actions were so disgusting that Lin Feng almost vomited his dinner from last night. Be a human. At the end of the day, one still needed to have some dignity, right? The woman said. Boy, you're so handsome and strong. One look and I can tell that you're not a silver spear. Later, I'll suck you dry. F***CKU. If you continue to disgust me, do you believe that I'll beat you up so badly that even your mother won't recognize you? Lin Feng could not help but scold her angrily. This was really intolerable. It was too disgusting. Mu Yasi seemed to have lost all hope in this woman. She said, You're a disgrace to the goddess palace. A disgrace to the goddess palace? The woman said disdainfully. What goddess palace? It's just a group that gained fame by deceiving the world. Now that the goddess palace has been destroyed, the heavens have opened their eyes. Moreover, the heavens have treated me well. Later, I'll take your beautiful body, and from then on, I'll have a peerlessly beautiful face. As soon as she finished speaking, she leaped up and flew toward Lin Feng and Mu Yasi. Die! Lin Feng's voice was cold. He held the epic war spear in his hand and used the epic spear technique to attack the woman. Mu Yasi took out a guqin. She sat down cross-legged. Her jade-like hands plucked the guqin. The sound of the zither rang out. The melodious sound of the zither was filled with endless killing intent. Streaks of terrifying cold light condensed. His speed was even faster than Lin Feng's. The terrifying cold light attack instantly slammed into the woman, but it did not cause her any harm at all. A star map appeared on her body. That star map. It was a diagram of meridians. Lin Feng was very surprised because this woman actually cultivated the meridian diagram. Lin Feng hadn't cultivated the meridian diagram yet. In fact, there were many ways to cultivate the meridian diagram. Different meridian diagrams. The power was also different. However, one had to consider carefully when cultivating the meridian diagram because the power of different meridian diagrams differed greatly. If one did not choose a good meridian diagram and casually cultivated it, it would be irresponsible to oneself. The reason for this was because cultivators only had one chance to choose the meridian diagram they wanted to cultivate. In other words, cultivators could only cultivate one type of meridian diagram. If he chose to cultivate the meridian network diagram, in the future, he would not be able to choose other meridian diagrams. The meridian network diagram that this woman cultivated was obviously an extremely extraordinary one. After neutralizing Mu Yasi's attack, the woman launched an attack on Lin Feng. She was still some distance away from Lin Feng. Therefore, she used a long-range attack. She slapped out with her palm and condensed a huge energy handprint in the air. That energy handprint instantly flew in front of Lin Feng and ruthlessly slammed toward him. Lin Feng swept the epic war spear at the energy handprint. Bang! Along with the violent collision, a loud sound was suddenly heard. Lin Feng was actually sent flying by the woman's attack. She then quickly charged toward Mu Yasi. Not good! Lin Feng's expression changed abruptly. He really did not expect that woman to be so terrifying. It was too late to save Mu Yasi at this time. Soul-shifting technique? The woman flew in front of Mu Yasi and directly grabbed the top of her head. The technique she used was extremely terrifying and could destroy Mu Yasi's soul in an instant. Then, her soul quickly took over Mu Yasi's body. This kind of overbearing divine power was extremely evil, so it had been lost in the outside world. However, this woman knew how to use it. Lin Feng's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. At this moment, Mu Yasi's body suddenly exploded. She disappeared without a trace. Only a small golden puppet was left on the spot. Puppet technique! Lin Feng's face could not help but reveal a look of joy. This was an extremely brilliant puppet technique. After it was used, it displayed an extremely extraordinary ability. Swoosh! A light flashed. Mu Yasi appeared beside Lin Feng, her face very pale. Lin Feng hugged her. He then planted a kiss on her red lips. Seeing that Mu Yasi was still alive, Lin Feng was really too excited. Mu Yasi was stunned on the spot. When she came back to her senses, her pretty face had already turned red. Cough, cough. About that, I was too excited just now. Fairy, please don't blame me, Lin Feng said awkwardly. Mu Yasi snorted softly. Her beautiful eyes became watery. That look was really going to mesmerize people to death. The woman said coldly. What a pair of lovers who only envy mandarin ducks and not immortals. How dare you flirt in front of me? You really deserve to be killed. You old woman, not only are you old, ugly, and black-hearted, but do you think you can kill us? You're simply daydreaming. Lin Feng sneered. Killing you naturally won't be a problem, the woman said coldly. This woman was not so confident for no reason. She was indeed too powerful. With Lin Feng and Mu Yasi's methods, dealing with this woman was indeed too difficult. However, the key was that Lin Feng still had a backup plan. Lin Feng sneered and said, It's too early for you to be happy. Today, I'll let you know how powerful your grandfather is. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng waved his hand. Suddenly, the Book of the Undead flew out. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Next, one after another, the undead creatures flew out. There were a total of 56 undead creatures. Oh my God, how is this possible? Mu Yasi's face suddenly revealed a look of disbelief. Her cultivation was extraordinary, so she could naturally sense how terrifying those undead creatures were. Sage Realm. Those undead creatures. They were all sage undead creatures. A total of 56 undead creatures of the same realm. What kind of terrifying power was this? And these undead creatures were all summoned by Lin Feng. How many unknown methods did Lin Feng have? Even Mu Yasi was extremely curious. Chapter 5585. Why do you have so many Sacred Realm undead subordinates? The woman's voice trembled slightly. Although she was powerful. But on Lin Feng's side, there were 56 saints. There was more than one saint of the seventh sky of the saint layer. This was too terrifying. The woman was naturally aware of her own limitations. Looking at the situation in front of her, she knew that her situation would be extremely bad. Because I am the Lord of the Underworld, I can summon these powerful undead at will for my use, Lin Feng said with a smile. Mu Yasi shook her head slightly. Lin Feng seemed to have started to become indecent again. In fact, Lin Feng's character was indeed like this. Sometimes he was very serious, and sometimes he was very indecent. Mu Yasi had long been used to it. There is no need for us to fight to the death, right? The woman said. If I don't kill you, the anger in my heart will not be appeased, Lin Feng said with a cold smile. He waved his hand, and 56 Sacred Realm undead quickly attacked the woman. All kinds of terrifying attacks condensed, and it was as if they could destroy heaven and earth. They all bombarded the woman. The woman's face turned bitter. How could she resist so many Sacred Realm undead? She hurriedly took out a defensive magic treasure. It was a true dragon shield. She quickly activated the true dragon shield. The true dragon shield formed a powerful shield to protect the woman. Bang, bang, bang. The powerful attacks ruthlessly bombarded the shield. The defensive power of the shield was very strong. However, it was difficult to resist the attacks of so many powerful undead for a long time. Under the continuous attacks of those powerful undead, it was not very likely. Crack! A cracking sound could be heard. Looking carefully, only to find, it turned out that many cracks had appeared on those shields. It seemed that the shield would be destroyed soon. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng's face suddenly revealed a smile. It seemed that the ugly middle-aged woman could not hold on much longer. Eliminating evil and defending the Tao is what cultivators of my generation should do. Lin Feng could not help but sigh. Why do I have such a sense of justice? In this world, it would be hard to find another person with such a sense of justice like him, right? Bang! There was a loud bang. The shield was completely shattered. All sorts of powerful divine abilities quickly blasted toward the woman. Without the protection of the shield, he could only endure the attacks head-on. She hurriedly condensed a powerful divine ability to resist the attacks of the 56 saint-level undead spirits. Bang! The attacks from both sides collided fiercely. The woman was immediately sent flying, vomiting blood in midair. Initially, Mu Yasi could not bear to see her like this. But when she thought of all the things the woman had done to tarnish the reputation of the fairy palace, she could not help but feel sorry for her. The trace of sympathy in his heart dissipated. As for Lin Feng, he didn't have much sympathy for the woman. As the saying goes, a pitiful person must have something to hate. This woman was not a good person and deserved to be killed. Just as Lin Feng was about to kill the woman, suddenly, the woman loudly begged for mercy. I know some secrets, and I'm willing to exchange them for my life. Lin Feng sneered. I'm not interested in your secrets, so you'd better die. At that moment, Muyasi said, Sir, don't kill her. Are you feeling compassionate now? Lin Feng looked at her and asked. Muyasi replied, Perhaps I am, but I think that the situation outside is chaotic, and you need people. Why don't you subdue her? She'll be of great help to you, and when the war comes, she'll definitely be able to help you. She'll also be able to redeem herself. After hearing her words, Lin Feng could not help but frown slightly. He thought about it carefully. Muyasi's words made sense. Lin Feng said, In that case, I'll give her a chance on your account. Lin Feng then looked at the woman and said, I originally wanted to kill you, but the fairy beside me pleaded for mercy on your behalf. If you swear allegiance to me now, I can give you a chance to turn over a new leaf. Otherwise, you won't be spared. After hearing Lin Feng's words, the woman did not dare to say anything else. It was already extremely difficult for her to survive this time. She hurriedly kowtowed to Lin Feng and said, I'm willing to submit to you, sir. Make the oath, Lin Feng said. The woman raised her right hand to the sky. She began to swear. I, Luwen, hereby swear that I'm willing to be loyal to you, sir. If I dare to violate the oath I've made today, I'll be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. After the woman made the oath, both sides immediately formed an oath rune. From then on, the woman had completely become Lin Feng's slave. After subduing such a powerful existence, Lin Feng was in an extremely good mood. Such a terrifying existence, what kind of astonishing battle prowess did he possess? With such a strong cultivator joining them, Lin Feng's side would be of great help. Let's go, Lin Feng said. Lu Wen said, Please wait a moment, sir. What? Is there something else? Lin Feng asked. That altar is extraordinary. It swallows earth fiend chi and suppresses me. After a long time, it's very likely that earth fiend pills have been formed. Earth fiend pills are condensed from dark energy. Ordinary people can't refine them, otherwise they'll definitely suffer a backlash and die. But you're different, sir. If I'm not wrong, you must have many kinds of celestial flames. With the celestial flames protecting your body, you won't have to worry about the backlash from the earth fiend pills. Once you refine them, your cultivation will definitely advance by leaps and bounds, Lu Wen said. Lin Feng was overjoyed when he heard that. If there really are earth fiend pills, I'll definitely remember your contribution. Then, Lin Feng quickly arrived in front of the altar. There were many restrictions on the altar. If he wanted to forcefully destroy the altar, he might suffer a backlash. However, Lin Feng didn't care at all. He activated the stone scripture. Buzz! Then, the stone scripture shot out a terrifying beam of light. The light beam shot out by the stone scripture directly bombarded the altar. Crack, crack! The altar began to crack. The stone scripture's power was becoming more and more tyrannical, and the beams of light were becoming more and more powerful. Dozens of beams of light continuously shone on the altar. Finally, the altar completely shattered, and a large amount of earth fiend chi surged out. In the middle of the earth fiend chi, a pill was floating. When he saw the pill, Lin Feng was overjoyed. That pill should be the earth fiend pill that Lu Wen had mentioned before. Chapter 5586. Lin Feng's large hand suddenly grabbed at the air. In an instant, the earth fiend pill quickly flew towards Lin Feng and was caught by Lin Feng. The earth fiend pill was a good thing. It just so happened that he could refine the earth fiend pill to increase his cultivation. Moreover, he had experienced many battles during this period of time, so he could already try to continue breaking through. After Lin Feng received the earth fiend pill, he did not continue to stay here. He left with Mu Jiaxi and Lu Wenna. After arriving outside, Lu Wenna was incomparably excited. Being able to see the light of day again made her feel as if she had been reborn. Lu Wenna used her transformation technique and instantly turned from an ugly middle-aged woman into a charming and seductive young woman. Her every move was extremely charming. Lin Feng said with a dark face, "You better not have any more bad ideas, and don't think about plucking male cultivators." Lu Wenna was a little depressed. She had transformed into such a charming appearance because she wanted to seduce some men and then pluck them. Previously, when she encountered some troublesome characters, Lu Wenna had used this method to transform into a beautiful woman to seduce them. Then, when the other party relaxed, she would take them down in one fell swoop. Lu Wenna was proficient in this kind of thing, and it was tried and tested. But now, her intentions were seen through by Lin Feng, and Lin Feng had already warned her. Although Lu Wenna was depressed, she did not dare to disobey Lin Feng's orders and could only agree. Lin Feng and the other two did not continue to stay here. After leaving this place, Lin Feng found a secluded place to cultivate. He wanted to refine the earth fiend pill to increase his cultivation. Lin Feng sat cross-legged and began to refine the earth fiend pill. Right now, Lin Feng was at the first heaven of the Tao Immortal Realm. His soul was at the first heaven of the Great Sage Realm. His physical body was at the peak of the Great Sage Realm. After Lin Feng refined the earth fiend pill, Lin Feng's cultivation had risen to the third level of the Tao Immortal Realm. He had broken through 2 levels in one go, which made Lin Feng rather happy. Lin Feng's soul power had also made a breakthrough, from the first firmament of the Great Sage Realm to the second firmament of the Great Sage Realm. His physical body was much stronger than before, but he was unable to achieve a breakthrough. It was not an easy task to make a breakthrough in one's physical body. However, Lin Feng believed that with the accumulation of time, a breakthrough was only a matter of time. Therefore, there was no need to worry. After coming out of seclusion, Lin Feng, Mu Jiaxi, and Lu Wen went to investigate Di Wudao's whereabouts. Mu Jiaxi knew how terrifying Di Wudao was. Previously, when she heard that Lin Feng wanted to find Di Wudao for a life-and-death duel, she was extremely worried. She was afraid that Lin Feng would suffer a huge loss at Di Wudao's hands. But now, she wasn't worried at all. After all, Lin Feng had so many undead creatures as his subordinates. Even if he couldn't defeat Di Wudao, those undead creatures should be enough to kill Di Wudao, right? Of course, she couldn't rule out the possibility that Di Wudao had ways to restrain those undead creatures. Perhaps those undead creatures couldn't threaten Di Wudao. However, no matter the outcome, Mu Jiaxi believed that Lin Feng could at least protect himself. Not long after, Lin Feng and the others found out Di Wudao's whereabouts. It was said that Di Wudao had led a group of people to Dragon Soul Mountain. Dragon Soul Mountain was home to some Dragon Clan cultivators. By the time Lin Feng and the others arrived at Dragon Soul Mountain, it had already been destroyed. Hundreds of huge dragon corpses lay in the forest, dyeing the ground blood red. Then, Di Wudao and the others disappeared. Lin Feng went to investigate again, but he couldn't find any news about Di Wudao and the others. They were really good at hiding. No one knew where they were hiding. Many forces were in a state of panic. After waiting for a few days, there was news that Di Wudao was heading to Donghua Immortal Palace. Hence, Lin Feng and the others rushed to Donghua Immortal Palace. By the time they arrived at Donghua Immortal Palace, it had already been destroyed. Then, Di Wudao and the others disappeared once again. ***. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel depressed. Di Wudao, that bastard, was really good at hiding. Muyasi said. It seems that Di Wudao did it on purpose. He wanted to make the other forces nervous. Yes. Lin Feng nodded and said. Also, I feel that when Di Wudao spread the news, he must have already set off for the forces he mentioned. He didn't even give them a chance to call for reinforcements. They either submit or perish. There's no other choice. Yes. Muyasi nodded and said hatefully. Di Wudao is really evil. Even if we cut him into pieces, it won't be enough to vent our hatred. Lin Feng said. He's dead for sure. However, we need to know where he's going before we can stop him. But his whereabouts are really hidden. We have no way of knowing where he's going. Muyasi frowned. This was indeed a tricky problem, but Lin Feng thought of a solution. Perhaps he could use the Mirror of Now to try. The Mirror of Now had the ability to predict the past and future. Perhaps the Mirror of Now could really predict where Di Wudao was going. Lin Feng said. I have a treasure here. We can use it to try to deduce. As Lin Feng spoke, he took out the Mirror of Now and started to deduce. However, after a while, he didn't find anything. This made Lin Feng quite depressed. However, Lin Feng still had a solution. That was an ability that he could control. Lin Feng could also see the future. Lin Feng didn't want to use this ability. If he used something that was too heaven-defying, he would be punished by the heavens. However, there was no other way today. Lin Feng used this ability, but he still couldn't find out where Di Wudao was going. The main reason was that Di Wudao's fate was very strong. There was a layer of fate on him that concealed him from others. Therefore, it was very difficult to find Di Wudao's whereabouts. Lin Feng combined the Mirror of Now and his ability to foresee the future. At this time, some blurry images appeared on the surface of the Mirror of Present. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. He had actually managed to deduce some images. Lin Feng took a closer look. The image was of an ancient forest. In the depths of the forest, a mysterious wheel was spinning. Then, all the images disappeared. What's the meaning of this? Lin Feng couldn't help but reveal a puzzled expression. Muyasi and Lu Wen also had puzzled looks on their faces. It was very difficult to find the truth through those images. At that moment, the Demon Lord transmitted his voice to Lin Feng. Don't you feel that the wheel is very similar to the wheel of reincarnation? Chapter 5587. With the Demon Lord's reminder, Lin Feng realized that it was indeed the wheel of reincarnation. Of course, Lin Feng had never seen the real wheel of reincarnation before. When Lin Feng mentioned the wheel of reincarnation, he was referring to the wheel of reincarnation that he had summoned with a divine ability. Could it be? Lin Feng suddenly thought of a possibility. The Reincarnation Immortal Sect. Was Di Wudao going to the Reincarnation Immortal Sect? Lin Feng felt that it was possible. Let's go to the Reincarnation Immortal Sect, Lin Feng said. Muyasi asked. Do you think Di Wudao will go to the Reincarnation Immortal Sect? Yes. Lin Feng nodded. The three of them quickly set off for the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. Lin Feng's relationship with the Reincarnation Immortal Sect was too deep. Back in the 9 states, Lin Feng had cultivated in the Reincarnation Immortal Sect for many years. Even his master, Lord Turtle, had a deep relationship with the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. Therefore, Lin Feng naturally did not want the Reincarnation Immortal Sect to be destroyed. They were not too far away from the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. If they traveled at full speed, they could reach the Reincarnation Immortal Sect in 10 days. 10 days later, Lin Feng and the others arrived at the Reincarnation Immortal Sect's mountain gate. Lin Feng saw many disciples patrolling outside the Reincarnation Immortal Sect's mountain gate. The three of them flew over, but they were stopped. "Who are you?" the leader of the disciples asked in a low voice. "Lin Feng, the Lord of Sin Realm, is here to pay respects to the sect leader of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect," Lin Feng said. In fact, Lin Feng did not know who the sect leader of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect was. Even Mu Yasi did not know. The sect leader of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect had always been mysterious. Cultivators in the outside world did not know much about him. "You're the Lord of Sin Realm?" The pupils of the leading disciple suddenly shrank, and an extremely shocked expression appeared on his face. The rest of the cultivators were shocked as well. Lin Feng's identity was too extraordinary. This gave them a great shock. Lin Feng nodded and said, "Go and tell your sect master that I have something important to discuss with him." "All right, I'll have to trouble you to wait here for a while," the leading disciple said. Then, he quickly went to report. "I heard that the Reincarnation Immortal Sect in the Undying World used to be the first ancestral land of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. But later on, the experts of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect moved it to the Heaven World. So now, it's only the second ancestral land of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect," said Mu Yasi at this time. Lin Feng nodded his head. He also understood this point. He guessed that the Reincarnation Immortal Sect of the Undying Realm and the Reincarnation Immortal Sect of the Heaven Realm should have some connections. "Not much," the disciple returned. The disciple looked deeply at Lin Feng and said, "Leader Lin, our sect leader invites you." Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. He then said, "Lead the way then." The disciple nodded his head and led the way. Mu Yasi and Lu Wen couldn't help but frown. How could the people of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect be so arrogant? Even the higher-ups didn't come to welcome Lin Feng. They were really arrogant. Soon, Lin Feng and the other two were brought to a guest hall. A servant girl served tea for the three of them. Lin Feng sat down and didn't drink tea. Mu Yasi and Lu Wen didn't drink tea either. They were waiting for the sect master of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect to arrive. Not long after, a hearty voice sounded. "Ha ha ha ha, Leader Lin, we're honored by your presence in the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. You've brought light to our humble dwelling." Following the voice, a cultivator walked in. It was a middle-aged cultivator. He had a medium build and looked quite dignified. Lin Feng smiled and asked, "Your Excellency, what's your name?" "Sect Master of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect, Situ Ming." The middle-aged cultivator introduced himself. "So it's Sect Master Situ. Nice to meet you." Lin Feng cupped his fists in greeting. Situ Ming smiled and said, "There's no need to be so polite, Leader Lin. May I know why you've come to the Reincarnation Immortal Sect?" Lin Feng calmly said, "Di Wudao will attack the Reincarnation Immortal Sect in the future. He might be here soon." "Oh? There's such a thing?" Situ Ming's eyes flickered slightly. He then asked, "May I know how Leader Lin found out about this?" Lin Feng smiled. "It seems like you already know about it, Your Excellency," said Lin Feng. Situ Ming's eyelids twitched violently. He said, "May I know what you mean by this?" Lin Feng said, "Sect Master Situ, why are you playing dumb? Haven't you already sided with Di Wudao? What do you mean, Leader Lin?" Situ Ming narrowed his eyes. Mu Yasi and Lu Wen were shocked as well. They didn't know why Lin Feng would say such a thing. But they didn't think Lin Feng would speak without thinking. He had probably found some clues, which was why he had said that. Lin Feng said, "You don't have to deny my suspicions. From the moment I entered the Reincarnation Immortal Sect, I noticed that something was amiss. First, you looked down on me. Of course, it's possible that you underestimated me because you looked down on me. Second, after entering the Reincarnation Immortal Sect, I sensed the presence of the Grand Tao. This means that there are experts fighting here, and the presence of the Grand Tao hasn't dissipated yet. The battle will happen soon. Third, didn't you arrange for many experts to hide in the Great Formation around the sect? You thought I wouldn't notice them, but I noticed them before I even entered. Based on these 3 points, I can deduce some conclusions. The Reincarnation Immortal sect has been through a great battle, but Di Wudao hasn't come. There's only one possibility for this: internal strife. Why would there be internal strife at a time like this? I'm guessing that Di Wudao has given them a hint or a promise. That's why they attacked. The sect leader is in charge of the Reincarnation Immortal sect, so there's no need for him to do that. Therefore, the person who did this must be a traitor. There's no enmity between us, but you sent people to hide in the Great Formation. It's obvious that you want to kill me. Why do you want to kill me? I'm guessing that you want to capture me and hand me over to Di Wudao. If you hand me over to Di Wudao, you'll be rewarded greatly. Sect Master Situ, what do you think of what I've said? Or am I wrong? When they heard Lin Feng, Situ Ming was astonished. Mu Jiaxi and Lu Wen were astonished. Lin Feng was extremely intelligent. He had managed to deduce so many things in such a short time. Situ Ming's expression changed, but he smiled coldly and said, "Leader Lin, you're really strong. Not bad, you're right." As soon as he finished speaking, Situshi waved his hand, and the entire hall was enveloped by the absolute kill formation. Situ Ming wanted to use a great formation to kill Lin Feng and the others. Happy New Year! You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.